Gaming news this week has been a bit of a feast. We finally got Crimson Desert gameplay on console, but it was on the Pro. It has concerning frame drops, and the details of how Digital Foundry got the game is even more interesting. We'll be talking about that. We'll also be talking about why I'm not hating on the game, even though the Defense Force is pretty activated by my recent video. We have continued concerns also about Marathon, another situation where concerns, criticism, or just analyzation of the game has become called hate for some reason. Now, with respect to player numbers, we also got insider information this year about where most of the players are playing, and Bungie canceled their GDC talks. Is the future of the game, is the future of Bungie currently under internal scrutiny? We will discuss. And then Project Helix got more information from the Xbox GDC 2026 presentation. It is clear to me, as we covered yesterday, that the future of Xbox is all in on PC, both with their hardware and with game development. So, why are folks so dead set on calling the Helix a console? There's plenty to discuss from the week. Make sure you're here for these Friday shows when we do sort of a summary, because you can submit questions as a member and you can enjoy going back and forth in the chat with us. If you're watching this later, you can also help us with the goal. We're trying to get to 600 paying members. We are currently up to 525, so it's moving. Thank you everybody who has been helping with that. Consider clicking join. For $5 the whole month, you get into my members only Discord, and it supports what I do full time. So thanks for that. If you can't do that, that's totally fine. Be here for the live shows and maybe you'll get a gifted. Also consider hitting like and subscribe. So let's kind of go through everything in order here. And I want to start with Crimson Desert, okay? The Digital Foundry video. I want to first address why I only reacted to the section about performance, because everyone's saying, well, the rest of their video is very positive. Yes, they do great work over there. I really respect the boys at Digital Foundry, and I did not want to completely cannibalize their video. I do not like serving as a replacement for other people's content. I state that in the very, very beginning of the video. I say it immediately. Typically what I do is I wait 24 to 48 hours before reacting to someone's content. I don't like doing that to others' content. I like to be a positive creator in this space. Even if I get negative and critical, I don't like using other people's content in an abusive way. I know that's a common tactic in these places, and I don't want to do that. I also don't think I was really that concerned with the lighting, the shadows, or the water. No offense, I just didn't care about those things. I wanted to know how the game was performing, okay? That is why I reacted to that section. I'm not being misrepresentative of the product. That is something Pearl Abyss has done. I will continue to say that the context of their marketing matters far more than what you think of the game or what you think of my agenda or my goals here. They have not provided console footage. The console footage they've provided is only to one outlet, and it was only on the PS5 Pro. I want to talk about why the FPS dips matter and why they matter where they happened, okay? First and foremost, there are only 4 sections in this entire 29-minute video where there are lots of NPCs on the screen. Actually 5. I forgot about this one here with like the robots and the bugs. I scrolled through the entire video. There are 5 total instances, and in virtually all of those instances there are issues with frame rate. There's the infamous Bug Hill. There's a fight in the town. There's a fight with some soldiers where he ends up on a roof. There's like a fair at one point, like people are gathered around for some kind of celebration, and there's like a giant, and then there's the scene we just saw with the robots. In basically all of those instances, there are pretty significant and noticeable frame drops. There are stutters. It gets down into the 30s and 40s in some of the sequences that John showed. Now, why does this matter? Well, it matters because 80 to 90% of this video, he's by himself or maybe fighting one other person. That's great that it runs good in those instances. I will say, lots of this video puts on a very impressive showcase of this game. The issue is, however, multiple times when they have marketed this game, they have showcased big fights with big bosses, big crowds, almost like raids in Valhalla. There's just enemies everywhere. And if those are the situations where the frame rate's going to drop into the 30s and 40s, that is severely concerning. That will ruin the experience. People are acting like that's no big deal. Do you really want to be fighting a large crowd or a boss and having the frame pacing in the frame timing and frame stutters happening like crazy. Slow walking through areas like this where nobody else is really around or gazing at water and shadows, that's a great way to show off the technology, but that doesn't necessarily translate to the experience of the gamer when they're playing the game. I really like Digital Foundry. I'm not criticizing their work here. This is what they're supposed to do. They comb over every nook and cranny of the game. He's not going to constantly seek out really big, large fights. Another thing that was completely absent from this video for the most part is I didn't really see any of those crazy particle effects we've seen in lots of the trailers. Perhaps those are abilities that you get later in the game. A lot of the abilities that you get in the game are actually learned from the enemies, so perhaps that's something that is sort of late game. It's a concern mainly as well because combat is one of the things that people continue to highlight as one of the best components of the game. There was a leak of a review that got out that we got to read. It sort of hit early. There were people that went to the preview event, and there is the John Linneman commentary from this video itself. The combat is one of the shining stars of this game. Well, if that's one of the best parts of the game, I don't want it sullied by huge drops in frame rate. That is a very, very disruptive thing. And people are like, well, it's an open world game. I can sort of eat around the fat. I didn't have this experience in Death Stranding 2 or Ghost of Yotei or even Assassin's Creed Shadows. Multiple times in Assassin's Creed Shadows, you're getting in fights with multiple people. Now, maybe not 20 to 15 or something like that, but there were large groups in that as well. And I did not experience the frame rate virtually cutting in half. Again, this footage right here is roughly 80 to 90% of the Digital Foundry 29-minute video. That is why they can conclude that the tech is impressive, that performance was overall great, because you're not looking at the instances where, when you're in combat, it's going to be pretty frustrating. To me, they've continued to put the combat front and center in all of the footage. And the good news for you is, John Linneman typically doesn't enjoy these types of open world sort of sandbox games, and he said he had a lot of fun. He played over 20 hours. He was impressed by the technology. I think this game will deliver, and I do think folks will enjoy it, but it's going to have those rough edges at launch that can be very upsetting for consumers. It's really hard to ignore the timeline here. 30 minutes of PC footage that is noticeably cranked to very high levels was uploaded to the PlayStation channel, prompting and asking people to pre-order the game. Then their head of PR and marketing got snippy with folks and got frustrated because everybody was asking for console footage. Then Fighting Cowboy was told that the console footage was so good we wouldn't believe them, and they sent it to Digital Foundry. They did not send the game to Digital Foundry. They sent a pre-loaded PlayStation 5 Pro to Digital Foundry, so they are not even in the possession of the game itself to test on a base level PS5. One of the most impressive parts of the game, shown off in virtually every trailer, is sections with lots of NPCs. That's when the game runs at the poorest in all of the footage that we have available right now on the PS5 Pro. We don't have any base console footage. I just ran down a timeline of facts. I didn't state anything that was hateful. I am merely cautioning people to try to help consumers make an informed purchase. Right now, if you have a very strong PC, you can purchase this with some confidence. I have some information about Denuvo that might be helpful to you. They've updated or at least commentated on the Denuvo that was added suddenly, and people are really angry. I think if you're a PlayStation 5 Pro owner, you could purchase this with some caveats and some understanding that you will have performance issues in certain instances. Everybody else is in the dark. Everyone who owns a base PS5 or a Series X or S, I would say you are completely in the dark right now, and you should probably hold off on pre-ordering this game. Many people are jumping to the conclusion that, oh, it'll run completely fine on the base PS5 if this is how it runs on the Pro. I do not understand that logic. That seems forced. I feel like people are angry because they're hopeful about the game, and they're taking it out on me and running to the comments to be like, well, I pre-ordered the game, thanks for your coverage, or they're calling me all sorts of names. Listen, I understand what's going on. I get it. You're excited about a game, and you think I'm trying to be some negative Nancy. All I'm trying to do is help consumers make an informed decision, since Pearl Abyss doesn't seem to want to do that themselves. Let me give one final thought here. Many people are thinking that PSSR2 will be the savior of this game on the PS5 Pro. First and foremost, that has nothing to do with the majority of the console owners, so it's a bit of a red herring when defending this game. Secondly, we have no idea if PSSR2 is going to make a bit of a difference. According to John Linneman, the sections that were the most troubling were sections with lots of NPCs because it became CPU intensive. PSSR2 is not a savior of CPU intensive games. It is designed to help with upscaling to give more headroom to the GPU. It will not solve issues with CPU bottlenecks to any great degree. Also, the CPU-intensive areas are a bit of a concern since the CPU is a bit slower on the base PS5, and then the Series X and S are not at the same speed as the CPU as the Pro either. One last disclaimer to PC owners about Denuvo. They did add Denuvo sort of late on March 12th, and everybody was pretty ticked off about it. Pearl Abyss updated the Steam page to reveal that the anti-tamper Denuvo has been added to the game, and people are ticked off. Paul Tassi of Forbes reached out to Pearl Abyss, or at least he found somewhere where they stated that all of the available PC review footage, all of the available PC preview footage that's out there, Denuvo was active in the game. There's no way to know if this is true or not. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me for Denuvo to be installed on rigs at a capture event, especially since it got added to the Steam page sort of late. Given this company's history and how they've continued to market this game in a misleading way, I would take their promises about Denuvo with a grain of salt. The good news is Denuvo is in Resident Evil 9, and I didn't see any reports of that causing any major issues, but oftentimes the larger and the more demanding the game, the more sensitive it is to those types of things that cause all sorts of, performance issues. By and large, if you are excited for this game, I am excited for this game and have been following it for a very long time. I do not have an agenda against this game. I will be pre-ordering it. I will be buying it. Hearing all the praise for the open world and it reminding people of the first time they played Breath of the Wild and having that amazing open world adventure experience, and all the praise for the combat really has me excited, because the combat is one of the first and primary things that got me excited about this game. But I've also been concerned from moment one that the game was going to be too ambitious and was going to be a master of none, a jack of all trades. A game with 18 different systems with zero depth to a lot of those systems, as well as significant performance issues given the scope of the game. We've seen dragons burning entire villages. We've seen fights with 20 to 30 enemies around, and every single time that sort of footage is in the Digital Foundry footage, there is noticeable performance issues. This is not some sort of hit piece or hate piece. Trying to inform consumers so they make an informed decision, if that's hate, well, then it sounds like you should join the PR marketing team, because you're more interested in promoting the game and motivating people to pre-order. I'm more motivated to get people accurate information. If you don't like that, you should ask why. So now let's talk about the next story. We've got a handful of things, and I want to get all the stories out of the way in the beginning of the show, because I'd rather do that than kind of space them out. So any of these topics that you guys want to talk about, save your comments, submit your questions, maybe do a super chat, and you'll get a guaranteed answer. All right, I'm gonna plow through these sort of opening segments for you guys. All right. So Marathon, Bungie's chaotic attempts to come back after Destiny 2 hasn't been in the best spot and had been on a bit of a downturn, when Marathon's already on a bit of a downturn. Bungie's extraction shooter launched on March 5th, and the first week has been a bit of a roller coaster, if a roller coaster is always declining. The launch, the server slam, and then the Steam numbers, and then the weird dialogue, and then the canceled GDC talks have also raised concern. If you remember, the server slam was one where we saw consistent decline over the weekend, and we were consistently told that was people that were stopping playing because their progress would not carry over into the game. Many people were giving assurances that the game would surely hit higher numbers when it launched. It did not. Then the Steam numbers were clearly declining every single day. The high points were lower than the previous high points, and the low points were even lower than the previous low points. That is concerning in the first week of the launch of a game. Then there was very strange dialogue about the Steam numbers and looking at the Steam charts. Many of that pieces of commentary were in response to people who were being pretty hateful, but some of us were just doing basic analysis of a brand new live service game from the company that was purchased by PlayStation to help forge the Center for Live Service of Excellence. It seems to make perfectly good sense to analyze the latest live service game from the folks who are supposed to be the experts in live service. Then Paul Tassi from Forbes had to make a video essentially defending looking at the Steam numbers, and he kind of blew the lid off the entire false narrative that they don't matter. He indicated that that Bungie had told him PC is the primary audience of Marathon. That's where most of the players are playing. He also indicated that the budget for this game was big. It had been in development for 5 to 6 years, and that a lot of Bungie had worked on it. That really makes it hard to believe that the current trend of numbers on Steam is something that Bungie is pleased with. This is a very large company. Their operation costs are high, and they launched a game that looks like it's headed to nowhere. Then they canceled their 2 GDC talks. There were rumors that those GDC talks were already canceled weeks ago. I'm not really sure why they would be on the website if they were canceled weeks ago. That seems a bit strange. Then there was the update to the game. Many people giving us assurances that the game is supposed to be hard and punishing, and you're supposed to scrounge, and you're not supposed to fight the bots. Even though the first faction quest instructs you to fight the bots, people were telling me that I didn't know how to play the game, and people were telling me that my feedback didn't really matter because I was just looking for a casual game. Apparently, Bungie agreed with virtually all of the feedback points that I said in the initial playing of this game. They want more ammo and health in the game, so they added it. They made the bots slightly weaker. It's clear that they were hearing this from many people, not just me. Apparently, bots weren't nerfed in a very significant way. It's very minor because they still want those bots to be a threat, which I actually fully support. Once you get a decent amount of ammo, the bots don't become a problem. The main problem was it just took too much ammo and then you didn't have enough in your reserves. So if they sort of tweak those two ends of the spectrum, it should lead to much better early onboarding with respect to feeling some semblance of empowerment to move throughout the world and to get in a couple of fights and not be completely on your back foot. Then there's the content. We know that the new Cryo Archive mat is set to drop in late March. And I have continued to say this will not be a Vault of Glass moment. The game is not hooking people. That is clear. The loop is not appealing to a broad audience. Destiny 1 had a loop that was addicting, at least for a little bit. The problem was the game was barren. People were playing Destiny 1 and having a good time, but they wanted more content. That doesn't seem to be the problem that Marathon is facing. Marathon isn't barren. People that aren't playing or turning their nose up to it or walking away, they're not saying that there isn't enough content. They're saying the loop, the gameplay loop, it's off-putting. It's clearly not hooking and keeping people. My current theory is that PlayStation is restructuring Bungie as we speak. The Destiny 2 content coming in June is likely going to be the last hurrah for Destiny 2. It's why they're renaming it. It's why they speak about June in such a particular way, as if that's kind of the last hurrah for the game. I think Destiny 3 is the only path forward for how large Bungie is. Marathon is clearly not showing signs of a big revenue-generating project. It's not going to turn things around for them and supplant or even fill in the gaps of where they're losing money or making less money on Destiny 2. Marathon will likely survive the year. I think they have too much content probably already made and planned to just flat out kill the game. I'm not quite sure how it's going to go, though, given the current trajectory of player numbers. Beyond this year, I think the future for Marathon is very murky. I know that's, for some people that's hate or that's doomsday. I want people to be informed. If you're thinking about spending $40 or more, if you want the better edition, if you're thinking about spending money in the micro stores of Marathon, I would really caution against doing that. I don't think this thing is showing signs of life. Life expectancy for Marathon at this point is a giant question mark. I believe that the game is too big as far as what they've offered and the potential that it has for them just to hang it up as quickly as we've seen with games like Concord and Highguard. But beyond 6 months, I really don't see this game doing that well health-wise with prospective consumers just walking away as they see it decline. That way you're not actually getting new people in. You're only going to be losing your existing customers slowly over time because they might leave because of a server wipe. They might leave because they get bored. They might leave because they're satisfied and they feel like they got their $40 worth. I just don't think the trajectory of this game is one of longevity, which is something that I cautioned people about from the very first time it was announced. Not because I hate the game or hate Bungie. Live service is incredibly perilous. Bungie doesn't get to be the exception to all of those rules with respect to player numbers and velocity and momentum. They could write the book on how necessary velocity and momentum is after their experiences with Destiny 1 and Destiny 2. Justin Truman of Bungie did a GDC presentation on this, and according to his own presentation, Marathon is headed for disaster. So let's talk about Project Helix, okay? This is the other major story from the week, okay? Microsoft's Project Helix is about to be the 10 times leap that people were hoping for maybe this gen. Here's the thing. It is a PC, and that is okay. It benefits, I think, the niche audience who will find it appealing, who will get their needs met by it. I am one of those people. I want Project Helix. So when I call it a PC, I'm coming from a place of paying it a compliment, okay? But there are still questions that remain. Backwards compatibility, how? How are you going to do it? We were told that it was going to be native. Now we're hearing from those same sources that it will likely be an emulator. That is native, but not in the way that I think a lot of people were thinking. I think using an emulator is totally fine. I'm not against that. I'm not looking for a gotcha. I'm just wanting to know how in the world they're going to do it. OG Xbox games are not currently playable on my Xbox One. There's a ton of games back there that they've promised will be playable once again someday. The 360 and the Xbox One games are playable. They run through an emulator. But what about Series X and S games? How will they be playable on the PC? Will it be a translation layer? Will it be an emulator? They haven't spoken. Also, the way they've spoken about backwards compatibility, it seems like it might be coming to all PCs, so you may not even need a Helix to get backwards compatibility with your Xbox library. I think that would be an incredibly interesting decision, given that that would hurt the Xbox's Project Helix appeal to the Xbox loyal. They could just buy a PC and do that instead. The fan response to this has been a bit mixed. Some are excited because it sounds like they're going to be back in the power fight and they're going to have a device that's actually going to be hitting at a high weight class, but it's also going to be at a high price. Some people are bristling at the fact that it's likely going to be like going and buying an expensive PC, which is something that they can do now. There's also clearly going to be a lack of exclusives. There was not a return of Xbox. There was not a return of the traditional ideals and promises of Xbox. It was very clear that the future of Xbox is cross-platform. They had a slide that basically said that. The Windows integration is also the thing I think people need to understand. The new Xbox mode that's coming to Windows 11 in April is essentially them testing this new stripped-down thing where you're going to be able to boot into an Xbox experience. That's the future of Xbox. It's a mode. It's an experience on a PC. That's not a problem if it runs well. Also, the timeline, alpha dev kits will be shipping to partners in 2027. Many thought that this means it might not ship in 2027, but the Series X and S dev kits went out in 2020, the year that the game console launched. Now, I pointed out that I don't know what an alpha dev kit is. Also, many people have said, if it's just a PC, why do we need a dev kit? Probably because it is a pre-baked system and they would like for people to be able to optimize their games for Helix. That is something that I think devs might want to do, but if they don't get market saturation, I don't know why anybody would care. Maybe the dev kit is also there so people can work with the backwards compatibility hardware, technology, the silicon, whatever it is, because they may be currently developing games for Series X and S, and that's why there's going to be dev kits that are needed to interact with that software, hardware solution, whatever it ends up being. If you're currently working on a game for Series X and S and you want it to run on Project Helix, the dev kit may be there to assist with that. Now, Kepler, notable hardware leaker, has said that both the Xbox Project Helix and the PlayStation 6 are still targeting 2027. So it looks like we may actually have a battle of the boxes one more time. But I don't really think these things are competing because they're definitely going after different price hemispheres, different offers, different value, and ultimately different consumers. And that is, I think, the biggest news stories of the week. I kind of flew through that. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button. Try to get us to 200 likes. We already have over 100 because you guys are stinking amazing. What a great end to the week. And Han shot first, and so did you. Thank you so much. Highlanders Grim with the gifted member. I appreciate you being the one to take that first shot. Let's get that up on the board, 437. And then Sean Torres with 7 months says, Lono speaking facts. Let's go. 7 months and counting. I ordered some coffee early last week. I've not seen an update on the order. I will check in on that before 1 is 0. We've had some oddities where your orders don't come over on my side. Like I'll get the email and then I'll go check to print and it won't be there. I will check that today. I apologize for that. We're usually very quick on that, but we've had a weird thing with the system where sometimes I go to check and it's not there. So I might have made a mistake and maybe I checked the wrong page. I'll double check that for you. I think the most interesting turn of events yesterday is the people in the comments section. Oh, hang on. Noberto says, Double Dippers Unite. Thank you, Mr. Noberto, for resubscribing over there on Purple with your Prime sub. I appreciate that very, very much. I think the thing that surprises me the most in all of these conversations, whether it's Marathon and the player numbers, or whether it's Crimson Desert, being really, really shrouded in mystery, there are people that will preemptively defend And then there's the people that are just like absolutely, on the attack. And it's like there's not a whole lot of in between. All I'm trying to do is, tell people to exercise caution with Crimson Desert as well as Marathon. I mean, I wouldn't be too keen to buy the game or spend money in the game right now. It's just not looking very good. When do you think DDR5 prices will drop, says Steve? I don't know. I don't cover that side of the industry, Steve. I have no way to make a prediction. Alex says, dude, I was reading the comments last night of the Crimson vid, and they were defending like crazy. There's so many people that don't even understand the tech either. People were like, oh, well, you didn't talk about how, that VSync was off the entire time. I'm like, it wasn't off the entire time. He turned it off for like 10 seconds and encouraged people to not turn it off at all because it looked terrible. Then folks are saying, oh, but if you do this, it's going well above 60 and that looks so impressive. I'm like, but he said not to do that. He said that he encouraged people to run the 40 or the optimized mode and that you'll put up with those frame drops. John Linneman didn't even recommend doing those things, and people were like running to my comments saying, oh yeah, you can do the VRR and you can get uncapped frames and you can get up to 70 frames. Yeah, he didn't encourage people to do that. He was just showing that it was available. It wasn't consistent. How close are we to the goal, it says here? I can't see. I've got my dashboard. We're 75% of the way to the sub goal. We're trying to get to, I forget what we're trying to get to. What are we trying to get to? 750? I can't remember. Make sure and renew your subs or gift some subs over there on Purple. It helps me do this every single day when you guys support on both platforms. And Mr. Sirius coming in with 11 months over there on Purple. Thank you so much. And a 5-bomb comes in from Wired Rope, getting us to 445. We're 5 away from 450. Whoever hits it gets it. I'll owe you guys a member at 450. Who's going to steal this one? The Digital Foundry video is a mess. I scrolled through the entire video, and you know what most of the video is? This is what absolutely kills me about this, because people were like running to my comments to be like, you're just being a hater and you're just being, you're just mad and you have an agenda. Dude, most of the video is this. Like 80 to 90% of the video is this. Just the character standing or slowly walking around. The minute there's a bunch of NPCs on the screen, there's visible stutters and there's visible frame rate issues. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, this is exactly what I go to Digital Foundry for, by the way. I go to Digital Foundry to see, like, what's the lighting doing? What's the shadows doing? What's the textures doing? That's all well and good. This has nothing to do with the overall performance of the game, though. Multiple times over the course of the 30 minutes that we've analyzed, I've said the main concern is performance, because that can have a dramatic effect on how it feels whenever you're in combat. And they've consistently shown this game to be a game where there's tons of NPCs on the screen and you're getting in these huge battles. There are boss fights where there are 10 and 20 enemies around. Showing the horse riding and the camera spinning and walking through a hallway or a cavern, it's like, okay, that's great. It runs well in those environments. What I've been saying the entire time is, from the very first time we saw a trailer, I said, I think it's really concerning when there's lots of NPCs around. And if you look at this sequence here, there's bugs circling, and then there's these robots. It's visibly having an image quality blurring issue, and I don't know. It looks to me like the frames are acting a little funky there. There's a section later with a fair and a giant. There's a section where he fights some soldiers on the roof, and then there's the 2 sections that he showed. He got in a fight in a town, and he got in a fight on the Bug Hill. Well, not in a fight. He just stormed Bug Hill, and it was stuttering like crazy. Lona, you're very critical of everything. It seems like that's why you're getting that response. Very nitpicky on everything. How am I nitpicky? They've shown us 30 minutes of footage on PC that looked too good to be true. I've consistently said that's an awful lot of NPCs to have in an area of a fight. And then when we finally get a look, we finally get a look at the game, it's like we're never really getting to see those instances. We're seeing a bunch of slow camera pans and lighting and water analysis, which is great. That's not Digital Foundry's fault. That's what they do. But the bulk of the trailers up to this point have shown these bombastic, explosive, high-octane, like, there's enemies everywhere fights. Like, lightly strolling up a hill? Like, okay, it runs well in that instance. Great. Like, this to me right here, this is like base level expectation. Congratulations, your game doesn't run like crap when someone's slowly walking around and they're not in a fight and there's no enemies around. So your argument is that one of the most ambitious games of this time must run at 60 locked at all times? No, you're putting words in my mouth, as is typical in these conversations. I never said that. What you're doing is straw manning because you're not listening to what I'm saying. Since the first trailer, I have said, this game seems so ambitious, it's going to struggle in the fights. It's going to have performance issues in the fights. That's extremely frustrating in a game with combat that is being hailed as, well, this is the main center point that everybody's coming back from preview events and saying, oh man, the fighting and the combat's awesome. Okay, well, when I get in fights, I don't want the frames dropping into the 30s and 40s. I think that's a reasonable expectation of a game, brother. It's 2026. What are we even talking about? I played Yote. I played AC Shadows. I played Death Stranding 2. I never had any issues with frame rate in those games. Big open world games with impressive graphics, ray tracing, global illumination, high degree of textures and world detail. Like, me expecting 60 FPS in an intense combat section or fight, I think that's completely reasonable. I'm not saying the game should not ever have a single stutter or hitch. Homie, the minute he's in sections with lots of NPCs, it's dropping into the 40s. That's bad. That's a concern. That's been my concern since the beginning. You want to ride your horse slowly next to a creek? You go right ahead. I was getting this game to get into fights and get into combat sequences, and I would like the game to run well when I'm doing that. If that is too unreasonable, then I'm not really sure what you look for in a game like this. I look for consistent performance, not just when I'm slowly walking along beach territories or strolling through the woods. This is one of my frustrations with Final Fantasy XVI. I got great performance in combat, but the minute I was out of combat, the frame rate was terrible because they didn't give you dynamic resolution outside of combat, so it became a stuttery mess, especially in towns. I was very critical of that. Final Fantasy XVI was supposed to show off the power of the PS5, and they couldn't even give us a good performance mode. I have been consistent on this. If anyone wants to claim that I'm not being consistent or that I'm lacking consistency, I have said since the beginning that we saw the first trailer of this game that I was concerned about performance with all those NPCs on the screen. And as surprising as it is, 90% of the footage in this video from Digital Foundry, there's no NPCs to be seen. There's no NPCs around. Now, that's fine. If you want to go to a rooftop or a hilltop or a mountaintop because you're trying to analyze draw distance and lighting and shadows, that's Digital Foundry's job. I'm not criticizing them. If Pearl Abyss wants me to buy this game on console confidently, I need to see the game running on console. I need to see gameplay in those instances where it seems concerning. It's a combat-focused game with FPS dips in combat. Sounds amazing. Right, the biggest takeaway from everybody who has played this game at preview events, everybody that played it, even John Linneman himself, they've all talked about the shining star of the game is the combat. Well, where are all the sequences where there's like 25 guys around? Or there's instances where like you're fighting a boss and there's like a circle of enemies around you. Where are those instances? How are those instances going to run? One of the first trailers that caught my attention for this game was a trailer where he was fighting like a boss and doing like wrestling moves and slams and all this stuff. And I was like, this game looks insane. The combat looks bonkers. It looks so fast. It looks so intense. The last thing you want in a really fast, intense game is to have frames dropping by 20. Going from 60 to 40 is jarring, man. It's going to mess with you. More concerned about performance for this or Fable? Fable's a completely different animal. I have no reason to talk about Fable right now. I've expressed my concerns about the Fable showcase. That has nothing to do with this game. I also think it's incredibly interesting that they kept saying, oh, nobody will believe us. The console footage is that good. I don't think so. Let's go over this game. I didn't expect perfect performance. Yeah, but that's such a non-response, Zilla. What do you mean you didn't expect perfect performance? Don't you expect the frames to maintain consistency in a fight? What do you mean? I have yet to say I expect perfection. People are just shadowboxing. They're like, it's a big, ambitious, open world game. You expect it to be perfect every second? No, but I want to be able to get into a fight and not have the frames drop to the 40s. Dragon's Dogma 2 on PS5 at launch had the exact issues Lono is raising. Thank you, Captain Steve. Everybody was so frustrated about that when Dragon's Dogma 2 dropped and had issues. I don't understand. I do not understand why people are so hell-bent on defending this game. I've got some people to thank. I'm so sorry I missed these resubs. Odin Arrow with 34 months. Thank you so much. It's funny people cry about companies not being consumer friendly, and yet when you look out for the consumer, they hate that too, right? B4110 with 43 months. Thank you so much. We're 3 away from 450. Frame dropping was to be expected. I especially in incomes. I'm not sure what you mean by incomes. A few frame drops is normal. Over 20 is absurd. Right. Listen, I was completely ready when he started talking about frame rate. I was completely ready to be like, okay, that's not that bad. If it's going to drop into like the 50s or something, okay, I'll notice it. That's not that big of a deal. I can eat around that. When it starts dropping into the 40s and even gets into the 30s, it's like, oh, good golly. What in the world's going on? I don't want to experience that when I'm trying to fight. It was hovering around 40. Again, some of these instances, like roaming around a garden right here, there's no NPCs around. So yes, 60 FPS. I'm going to admit something to you guys right now. This actually looks incredible for what the Pro offers. I will say image quality is a little muddy. Like, I don't think it's great. But the fact that the draw distance and the lighting and all of that, the fact that it looks this good, stable 60, is awesome. The concern is the minute I'm in a fight and the minute there's something chaotic going on, I don't want to have to deal with dropping 20 frames. Harbinger with a gifted member. Thank you so much. Let me get that added to the total. We're at 448. Creature says, not dropping 20 on the Pro. That's a different animal. Yeah, that's the other thing people need to remember. Look at this instance right here, okay? I want you to imagine instances like this. They've shown us plenty of instances like this whenever they've been showing off the trailers. Like raiding a village, getting in a big battle and a big fight, okay? I want you to watch what happens here. This is on the Pro. You need to remember that. DK Bager with a gifted member. We're kissing the 450, okay? There's not even that much going on right here, and it's already in the low 50s, okay? There's not even that much going on. I see a single NPC, okay? So clearly there's some kind of a CPU issue going on because all these guys flying around in the sky are probably being loaded onto it or whatever, probably being processed by it. So now we're down into the 40s, okay? Now we're down into the 40s. This is on the PS5 Pro. What he is doing right here, they've shown us multiple instances of fights like this in the trailers. Raiding, battling, fighting. Lots of, 15, 20, 30-something enemies on the screen. So I want you to think about something. He's going into an instance like this on the Pro and look at the performance. Imagine playing this on a base console. Harbinger's going to land the plane on 450. I owe YouTube a member. It's tied 7-7 between the two platforms. Like, look at the stuttering. Look at how it performs. Do you understand? He's not even doing anything, by the way. He's not even getting in a fight. Now we're down into the 30s. This is on the Pro. I'm not cherry picking. This is a common thing you are going to do in the game. You're going to go to a settlement, a base, or some type of fight or battle, and there's going to be lots of enemies around. They've shown us that consistently in the trailers. Look at the performance on the Pro, boys. I can't believe people are defending this, and here he is in town. They've commonly shown us battles like this. It's down into the 40s. Look how many enemies are around, and look at the performance. I'm not... The fact that people are trying to act like this isn't a big deal, and these are just minor issues, and they're like, you didn't even watch the full video, and I'm like, why would I watch the full video? I wanted to know specifically about performance. I don't care about shadows and textures and lighting. That's all great. That's all great. I appreciate Digital Foundry's work. I appreciate John Linneman saying he had fun in the game. That doesn't change what we just saw. That doesn't change what we just saw. Grubby says, have the Spotify upload stopped? Probably. Creature's been working on something else. Sorry. Most people are going to buy it on PC. PS5 is old AF. What you're saying is absolutely ignorant. There's like 90 million PlayStations in circulation. Have you seen the sales results of games on PlayStation recently? Have you seen like what Ghost of Yotei did? What do you mean? The consumer base on PlayStation is active and they spend money. What you're saying is absurd. 100 bits from Wired Rope. Also, this critique is purely console, not PC. If you have a capable PC, have fun. Yeah, if you've got a capable PC, have a ball. But the fact that it's doing this on the PS5 Pro when there's lots of enemies around, you better buckle up if you've got like a mid-level rig. If you're even remotely CPU bottlenecked, you better get ready. Anytime you go to a town or a village or a fight and there's lots of NPCs around, well, get ready. 90% of this Digital Foundry video, it's him walking around and there's nobody around. And I'm like, okay. If you watch the full video, he says that for the most part it stayed at 60. And even on other combat scenarios. Oh, you want to know what's funny about that, Tyler? I scrolled through the entire video. There's only 4 instances where he's fighting lots of enemies at once. 4. 3 of them, visible stuttering and frame drops. They're visible in the footage. Out of 29 minutes, go watch it yourself. Don't take my word for it. Go watch it yourself. Out of 29 minutes, there's only 4 instances where there's lots of enemies on the screen. Or lots of NPCs on the screen, because the one time it's like a fair and they're not all fighting, they're just standing there. There's 4 instances of lots of NPCs on the screen when he's fighting and moving the camera around quickly. 3 out of the 4, there are visible performance issues and stutters and frame drops. 2 of them he talks about and shows you the frame count. The rest of the video, there aren't a lot of NPCs around. 90% of this video, he's by himself, walking up a hill, in a room, riding his horse across the country, and there's nothing around. And it's like, well, yeah, when the game doesn't have to do anything other than show you the environment that you're moving in and there's no NPCs, like, go ahead, like, have a ball. Creature says, Spotify will resume as normal starting today. I had to draw straws and Spotify lost. Yeah, listen, there's only 2 of us, and Spotify gets, like, little to no engagement. We love you guys that listen over there, but it's going to always lose in priority when we get strained in our schedules. He and I have been very stretched recently. There's no stuttering, only drops. Drops causes stuttering, has 191. What are you even saying? What are you even saying? The idea that this is hate, or that I'm angry, or that I'm upset because people are coming up with the craziest reasons for me to be pointing this out. People are coming up with the craziest reasons. Listen, if you're excited for the game, I'm not trying to yuck. My coffee just killed itself. It just jumped off the cliff. Did you guys see that? Here. We'll just put the coffee right there. How's that? If you're excited for this game, I'm not trying to yuck your yum. I don't have an agenda. I don't. Since the earliest of trailers, I have said I have concerns about it running on console, and we can't get console performance. We can't get videos. Leave consoles behind. That's I don't know why people are typing things that are so bankrupt and idiotic. Like, why even say that? The consoles do very well. They generate tons of sales. PlayStation 5 and the Nintendo Switch 2 have had incredible generations, and they're doing very well. Tons of companies love launching on console. They make tons of money. You think it's a coincidence that Crimson Desert put all of its marketing materials on the PlayStation channel? Do you think that was an accident? No, they know that's a big user base that spends money. You think they're just accidentally marketing on a PlayStation YouTube channel that has 17 million subscribers because, what, all the PC boys are subscribed to the PlayStation channel? Some of you guys get this like little brother syndrome and you think that like PC is the biggest thing ever. And it's like, you've got the biggest user base. Yes, but Jiminy Christmas, PlayStation generates a ton of revenue and sales for these companies. They have a vested interest into launching on PlayStation and selling on PlayStation. Jiminy. The fact that they promoted the game on the PlayStation channel, where's your PC-centric audience channel to market the game? Where? They went to the PlayStation channel for a reason. You think it's an accident that like 30-plus minutes? 30-plus minutes are on the PlayStation channel. That's where they put all their marketing bucket. They put all their marketing bucks on the PlayStation channel. I don't understand. Console cannot show the world to the max. I think they want to max the appeal of the graphics. I think that that's misleading marketing. Even the coffee's done with all the hate you keep spreading. It's like, I can't take it anymore. PlayStation has exclusive in-game items as well. Oh, like the pre-order bonuses? I didn't even look. I didn't even look into the pre-order bonuses. I don't even care that much about pre-order bonuses anymore because they're usually like stupid items that you stop using like a day later. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, check out this cool, colorful thing, and then like a day later, you're not even using it. It's misleading marketing. I think the most interesting thing about this is how upset and how angry customers and consumers and gamers have become over the years when you guys get misled, when we get misled, and now people are just rampantly defending a company who is brazenly being misleading and deceptive with their marketing. And you're like, but I'm excited, so it's okay. What? You being excited for the game means it's okay that they're being dishonest? Drop Frames, Zeke asked about remapping keys, and they said because it was built for controller, they couldn't speak to key remapping. Yes, but leave console behind. Brilliant. They built the game for controller. I don't think anyone is writing a free pass for PlayStation in this either. They let those trailers hit the channel. Yeah, I mean, there'll be pretty significant blowback on PlayStation if people buy this on their base PlayStations and it has all kinds of trouble. Like, I don't think it's going to be as bad as Cyberpunk. But you really got to wonder, are people going to be like, man, this runs really bad? It looked incredible on the trailers. Crimson Desert will run fine in base PS5 and Pro. It's a single-player game with most of the bosses you'll encounter is 1v1. That's not true. What you're saying is ridiculous. They've literally shown that the opposite of that. It's like you haven't watched any of the trailers. You're typing nonsense. You're not even making sense, bro. It's like you haven't even watched the marketing up to now. In earlier demos, this game showed sharp textures even far in the background, but now, where is that gone? Oh, you're not going to get that experience on console. I kept telling people that. That PC footage was cranked. I was like, that's not going to happen. They're not going to do that. They're not going to give you that level of performance on console. They're going to have to rein that draw distance in. They're going to have to. If not, unless you want the game to run terrible. If Bug Hill was a problem, imagine the worst areas. Right. There are instances where it's like a full-on scale battle. They're like rushing a fortress, and it's like a full-on scale battle. There's enemies everywhere. I mean, what about the footage where he like catapults himself over a wall into a base, and there's like 20 enemies around? Everything they showed in this trailer tells me those instances are going to run like garbage. Those are like the coolest moments. Demon says, everyone arguing when, as a PS5 Pro owner, I'm wondering why we can't get 1440 120. I don't care about 4K 60. I do have a PC. I play on console. Do you want to know what's getting lost in all of the hullabaloo about this? Right? The people defending the game and me asking, questions and pointing out misleading marketing tactics. Oh my, I'm the devil. You know what's getting lost in all of this? You can't turn ray tracing off. You can't. You can't turn ray tracing off. Where's the spec sheet? This is the thing that I think's getting lost in this. Remember when we looked at Gotham Knights and we were trying to figure out what in the world happened with the game? Oh, this is PC. Hang on. Let me see if I can get console. Yeah, here we go. I got it. Look, this is part of the problem. Even on the base PlayStation, ray tracing low, ray tracing low, ray tracing high. Here's the issue with the PS5 Pro. It's never below ray tracing high. Ray tracing high, ray tracing high, ray tracing ultra. That's part of the issue. They baked ray tracing into the game, so you're constantly dealing with a very, very heavy load. Like, it's like you can't even turn it off. Remember in Assassin's Creed Shadows, you could turn on ray tracing global illumination. You could do that on the base PlayStation 5. Do you remember what it did? It gave you 30 FPS. That was the key selling point of the PlayStation 5 Pro at that point. If you had one, it was like, you can turn on RTGI and get 60 FPS. Remember what happened on the Pro the minute you turned on reflective surfaces? 30 FPS. It's heavy. It drops performance very, very quickly. The minute you went into your like base, your like area where you could like build, the minute you went into there, the reflective surfaces were on, it like forced it, you dropped to 30 FPS. It was nauseating. You'd be like out in the world 60, you'd come back to your base to like build in AC Shadows and it would drop to 30. So I want you to think about that. Think about the performance you're going to get in this game when you can't turn ray tracing off. It's just there all of the time. Gotham Knights shipped at 30 FPS, and that was one of the issues. You can turn ray tracing off on PC. That's going to be one of the first things I think people do when they start encountering problems on PCs. They're just going to shut the ray tracing off. If you're all like on a... Well, actually, I wonder if that's going to even be the case. If you're on like a weaker card that probably can't even do some of the newer stuff, you might not even be able to. It might just be limited right out of the box, which might help performance on PC. All the haters defending Crimson Desert have followed the game for years. It's their baby. They don't want to believe it can run bad, almost in denial. The average gamer doesn't care about frame drops. We're not talking about frame drops. We're talking about it drops into the 30s and 40s. If your frame rate gets cut almost in half, you will notice. It will look bad. You will think that the game is messing up. It happened in Dragon's Dogma 2 and people got pissed. It happened in Final Fantasy 16 when you weren't in combat and people got pissed. What are you talking about? People were upset in games where this has happened. This idea that like gamers will just shrug it off and be like, yeah, it doesn't matter. They tried to keep 30 frames per second in Gotham Knights a secret. One of our community members here was in their Discord and asked about 60 FPS, and they got banned or timed out or something. What motivates you to have such concern with the performance drops that you speak with such passion about it? The game is going to sell gangbusters and it's going to review well. What do you mean? Why don't you care about misleading marketing? My position makes more sense than yours. I'm more reasonable than you are. That's the grand irony in this situation. You're not being reasonable if you're not irritated or upset at misleading marketing. You don't make sense to me as a person. I don't empathize or understand you as a person. No, it's fine. No, it's totally fine. They've shown 30 minutes of PC footage that seems too good to be true to console users. When we asked for console gameplay, the head of PR got snippy and angry on Twitter about it, and now he's out here being smarmy and sarcastic about, well, somebody asked for console footage, and it's Digital Foundry footage where 90% of the footage is slow-moving camera sections where the guy's just walking around. The handful of times he gets into actually intense combat with lots of people, the frames are all over the place. It's misleading marketing. They're being deceptive. They tell Fighting Cowboy, our console footage is so good, nobody would believe us. I got news for you. What I saw in Digital Foundry's video, I wasn't like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't believe this if they showed this on their own. No, I would have believed it. It's doing exactly what I thought it was going to do. What do you have to say about the overall review at the end of the Digital Foundry video? I said in the show open, Biggie, the silver lining here is John Linneman had fun, and he typically doesn't like games like this, and John Linneman was impressed by the technology. Here's the issue. Being impressed by technology doesn't translate into a fun time if when I get in fights with more than a handful of enemies, I'm getting 20 and 30 frame drops. That's going to be awful. That's going to be an awful experience. One of the primary things that people keep talking about and praising, one of the things they keep talking about and praising is the combat is so fun. The combat's like the centerpiece of the game. It's like the thing that is the best. Because I've said for a long time, it feels like scope creep the game. It feels like it's going to be a jack of all trades, master of none. You're going to be able to have a garden and a pet pig and a house, and you're going to be able to hunt and all this stuff. And it's like, I don't think any of those systems are going to be that deep. I think the primary thing you're going to do is explore and fight. Those are going to be like the two main things you're going to be doing. He liked the game. It wasn't just being impressed with technology. He specifically spoke to that. He says, I typically don't like these open world sort of sandbox games, and he had a fun time. He just kept wanting to go out and explore. So I don't think the game is bad. I don't think people are going to have a bad time. I think they're trying to keep things hidden from us because it's not going to run that well in the instances where it matters most. It running well when you're walking around a countryside and there's no one around, why do I care about that? Why do I care about it running well there? That's like the base level expectation of an open world game, that it runs well when nothing's going on. The real test of a game running well is when you're in a fight, when there's lots of enemies. It's always funny when super game critics speak on frame drops. We don't care. You don't care. You don't speak for gamers. I'm not speaking for gamers either. I'm hoping that gamers can be properly informed before they buy the thing. If you don't care and you buy it and you've been fully informed, then I've done my job. If you buy it with a full understanding of the performance issues, then I've done my job. I'm not trying to recalibrate your concern or care. I'm trying to make sure you have accurate information. That's all I've been trying to do since my first bit of coverage of this game. And instead of people being like, hey man, thanks, I don't really care about those things, I'm going to buy it anyway, people want to attack me and call me a hater. And it's like, that's really weird energy. It's like, don't attack this game. It's like people are acting like a bunch of simps out here, and I'm attacking their favorite OnlyFans model. Like, what the heck? It's a video game. All I'm trying to do is make sure people know there are clear issues with performance in this game, and they won't let us see it. They won't let us see it. Again, we're game testers after release due to bad optimization. Right. Do you want to be another beta tester? Like, you don't think people cared? Go read the reviews of Jedi Survivor on Steam and tell me that people don't care about performance and frames. Go look at the response to Jedi Survivor on console after it launched and tell me that people don't care about frames. They had to rebuild the entire performance mode of Jedi Survivor on console because it was so bad. It was like virtually unplayable. Screen tearing, hitching, snags. It was awful. I really truly don't understand. Like, if you're excited about the game, you can be excited about the game without attacking me. I'm not attacking the game. I'm trying to give information to the public. That's all I'm trying to do. Shooting the messenger achieves nothing. It's just like simp energy. It's like, have some self-respect. Why defend a game and a company that's not paying you money? I'm sold after the Flying Dragon. The Flying Dragon looked incredible. It also looked like too good to be true for console. There was like 17 people on the ground, and then he flew away from that area, and there was a whole other section of a town with more people. It's like, if that's too CPU intensive when there's bugs flying around, imagine those sequences and how performance is going to feel. It's going to be awful. I think you're being a bit deceptive with this outrage. The PS5 Pro isn't some vast power difference from the base PS5 and the Series X. It'll run about the same on those consoles. I'm not being deceptive with my outrage. My frustration is honest. It's genuine. If you think I'm putting on an act or a show, you apparently haven't been here before. This is just me, homie. Welcome to the rodeo. This is just me. I get wound up and I get passionate. If you think I'm being dishonest in my candor and my passion, stick around for a while. You'll get used to it. The point is that if it ran that good, on the previous consoles, why not just show it? Why not just show it? And I'm going to keep coming back to this. The strongest console on the market, 90% of the footage is a guy walking around by himself. Nothing's going on. Oh, it runs great and looks great. But I'm going to be doing a whole lot more than that. I'm going to be doing a whole lot more than that. I'm not just going to walk around the countryside. The issue is not the game. It's about the marketing. I know, Zoob, it's crazy to me that people are okay with these shenanigans. It's like, you guys keep making it about the game. Oh, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to have a good time. It's about the marketing. I want you just to track with what they've done. The PC footage is visibly cranked beyond what most people will even experience on their PCs, and they put all that footage on the PlayStation channel. That's just the facts. I'm not even expressing my opinion about that. I'm giving you the facts. 30-something minutes of PC footage that is cranked beyond what the average PC user is going to experience, and those 30 minutes of marketing telling people to pre-order are on the PlayStation channel. Then they have a preview event. A content creator inquires about, are we going to see console footage? People would like to see console footage. There are a lot of people who saw your trailers on a console YouTube channel. Where's the console footage? These are questions that get asked commonly. Again, I'm not expressing opinion. I'm just giving you the facts. That content creator was told that the console footage is so good, nobody would believe it, so they're going to send it to Digital Foundry so that we can see console footage at launch. All we have seen now is PS5 Pro footage, and it struggles with performance in the exact areas that I expressed concern about. Again, I'm not stating anything that's opinion-based here. I'm stating facts. I expressed concern about combat sequences with lots of NPCs in all the trailers that we've seen. I expressed concern about draw distance and shadow detail and lighting detail, and all those things are clearly tempered down on the console. And these are all things that have transpired. And let me give you one last banger of a piece of information. They did not send the game to Digital Foundry. They sent a PlayStation 5 Pro console with the game preloaded. We have no idea what they played. We don't. John Lemon played for over 20 hours. I don't know if he has definitively said anywhere that they have the entire game on the console. We don't know. I asked him privately, and I cannot get an answer. Were you playing the full game? Was it the entire game? I don't know. You don't know. They didn't say. There's an awful lot of sequences after 20 to 30 hours I'm not even seeing in their footage that I've seen in other footage. I've seen in preview footage. There were lots of instances from all the people that came back from the preview footage, from the preview event, who played it on PC. There's an awful lot of boss fights and areas and instances that I don't see in this Digital Foundry clip, this Digital Foundry video. He said that was because of restrictions in the store. I don't buy that. I've been doing this for a decade, and plenty of times I've been given early access to a game to review it. I download a review copy of the game. It doesn't have to be in the store for a company to do that, so I don't buy that excuse. If that's what they told John Linneman and he's just repeating that, that's fine. I don't hold that against him, but I've been doing this for a decade, homies. I've gotten review access to games before, and I download a literal review copy of the game. It's not the retail copy. AK94 says, subbed. I don't know why you have to fight for your life to get this very straightforward point across. Thank you. I think there are folks that are kind of bad faith in the mix who want to stir it up. They just like to see me get wound up, right? But I do think there are people who are just so gung-ho about the game, they're not thinking clearly. $5 from Dragon King says, imagine how bad it'll run on Xbox. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Rose Girl, I missed your VIP. She said, good morning, Lono and chat. Thank you so much for being here, Rose Girl. I appreciate that. A lot of red flags. Yeah. A game that went gold months ago, apparently they can't load the game onto the PlayStation for Digital Foundry to download it. Ginger says, I do enjoy when Lono gets wound up. I'm guilty of stirring the pot from time to time. I do it for the clips. That's why you have me on your show, Ginger. The jig is up. The jig is up, Ginger. You only have me on your show because you're hoping to get me wound up and screaming. I'm on to you now. No, Wilbur, I saw Detective Seed's tweet. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I've been doing this for a long time. Plenty of times. I signed an agreement to get review access to a game, and when I downloaded it, it literally had that in its name. Like, it's like you were about to download this, and it would like show me the game, and it'd be like such and such review copy. They said if they did, then it would allow physical to get access early. That's not true at all. That's not true. That's not true. You can get a review copy of a game. Why are we believing nonsense? Crispy Bogod with 54 months into VIP. He literally said in his video he was getting one-shot by enemies because he was under-leveled. Can't tell performance when he was avoiding combat and riding a horse for 20 hours. Well, that's what I didn't understand either. He said, he was getting one shot by the enemies. He was under-leveled. You don't level in this game. They said it's not an RPG. You don't actually level up. You go and find abilities and gear, and that's what makes you stronger. Like, you don't actually have a level. So I didn't quite understand that either. I'm like, why wasn't he strong enough to engage in these encounters after 20 hours? If you were exploring and finding those abilities and those sources of power, wouldn't you... I don't know. I don't know what he was doing. I think part of the challenge, I'm trying to look at the world through John Linneman's eyes, right? And more than likely, he spends a good portion of time trying to get good footage to analyze things like anti-aliasing and shadow detail and is there any jitter and how's the lighting. So a lot of his 20 hours, he's doing that, and that's completely acceptable. That's literally his job. He's an authority on those subjects. That's why I defer to him in these situations. I'm like, I don't freaking know. Let's go see what John says. So, yes, he probably spent a lot of time doing that. Maybe that's why he wasn't really geared or kitted, because he was exploring and he was looking for footage. He wasn't necessarily exploring and finding stuff and getting stronger. So then when he goes to engage in combat, he's like, oh my gosh, I'm getting my butt kicked. Well, that could be potentially why that happened. I'm not faulting him. I'm just trying to diagnose why on earth there's almost no combat in his 29 minutes of footage in this video. There's almost none. There's 4 to 5 instances where there's lots of enemies and he's engaging in combat. 4 to 5 instances. 4 of those instances, the frame rate is bad. It's visibly bad. One of them, it looks okay. It's like, I can't really tell. Hang on, I'm getting messages here. What is this about? I am being told that setting the Pro is not normal. There's no way they can put a game onto a regular Pro without a code. They either sent a Pro dev kit or they installed it onto a Pro without a review code to force them to play on the Pro. Developers don't have the ability to install directly on a retail kit without PlayStation Cert Ops. Well. Isn't that interesting? Plot thickens. The story we're being given, I told you, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. It doesn't pass a smell test. From someone I trust who's an authority on this subject, they're like, you can't do that. The only way you're going to install it on the PlayStation, it's gone through the certification process, which means you should be able to send them a code to download it. Do you see? Do you see what I'm saying? For what it's worth, I don't know why John Linneman says it doesn't dip in any combat. There's visible dips in his video. I don't know why he's saying that. I really like John, and I really respect John. I don't know why he's saying that. His own 29-minute video, there are visible, significant dips in frame rate in combat sequences. You can see them. So the game isn't even certified? Listen, I was just told by somebody I trust, you cannot install a game on a PlayStation 5 or a PlayStation 5 Pro unless it has been certified by PlayStation. If it's gone through certification, then that means they could send them a code to download it. They would be able to do that. It not being available in that circumstance doesn't make any sense. Like he's saying, unless they installed it on a dadgum dev kit and sent them a PS5 Pro dev kit. Don't you... That would be weird too. They sent a dev kit? Isn't a dev kit really valuable to them? Like, you just, here's our dev kit. Here's one of our very valuable dev kits. Get the frick out of here. That's why I said, I was like, this doesn't make any sense. What do you mean? Is the PS5 Pro dev kit an actual PS5 Pro? I don't know, but you have to buy them from PlayStation. You can't just they don't send them to you for free. Don't stop asking all these, Lono, stop asking all these questions you're hating. Oh. He's a liar? I think he's just repeating what he was told, Windex. He's just repeating what he was told. I am not upset with Digital Foundry at all. My ire and my irritation is with Pearl Abyss. They are marketing this game and they're pulling shenanigans. This is a bunch of shenanigans. You said you trust him? You said it's good, but you're not trusting? He's just relaying what he was told. That doesn't make me not trust John. If he was told, hey, we have to send you a PS5 Pro with the game installed. It's not available in the store yet. And he's like, oh, okay, thanks. You know what I'm saying? He's just repeating what he was told. I'm not saying anything about him. If they send you the whole game, you wouldn't believe it, Lono. You wouldn't believe it. Just came back. Was it confirmed he played on the PS5 Pro dev kit? We don't know, Tommy. We don't know. I can't get an answer from John. I DM'd him and I said, hey, were you playing the full game? That's the other thing that I don't quite understand, is it's like they sent you a PS5 Pro with the game installed. I said, was it the full game or a limited version in any way? Also, has any studio ever done something like this before? John has seen the DM. The little check mark is filled in. He started typing something yesterday, and then he never responded to me. I don't know what's going on. I felt like those were completely fair, investigative questions to be like, I have been trying to get console footage to the public since this game first started promoting itself on the PlayStation channel with PC footage. You guys got access to the PS5 Pro in the strangest way I think I've ever heard of. I would like to know if it was even the full game at this point. He played for over 20 hours, but I saw people at the preview event. I saw their footage. They went to a bunch of areas and did a bunch of things that I don't see in the Digital Foundry video. It's like, were you in one region? Hang on a second. I think they sent a retail kit. It was just pre-installed with the studio's own code to prevent them from playing it on a regular PS5. I think that's exactly what happened. He says a lot of games are not active on the store until closer at launch. It's related to submission and bringing it online on the back end. If that's what they told him, he's not just saying what he was told. He's also saying it's not that strange. He and I don't agree. I think it is strange. I have received review access to games that were not in the store yet. We're not preloadable in the store yet. Do you know how when you can preload a game? I have literally received access to games and it has review in the name. I go to download it, I put the code in on PlayStation, and it says such and such review. It literally has review in the name. How close to launch do we need to be? Right, the game comes out next week. What are we even talking about? It's not just strange, it's that it's not true, says Dirge. Marathon players want the audio changes reverted. After the latest update, increase the distance gunfire can be heard from. Many players say fights are now getting third-partied constantly. Oh my gosh. Who could have seen this coming? I just can't believe it. Yo, Wreckin' Havoc over there. Can someone tell Wreckin' Havoc over there on Twitch if he just subs to the channel, he won't see ads on Twitch? That's a great reason to use your Primer to sub. He just keeps telling me when he sees ads. Like, sorry, dude. I put that on auto and just leave it alone. We need a wellness check on Lono. He's not okay. What a stunning turn of events. I can't believe in a game like Marathon, when you increase the audio distance of gunfire so that people can hear it from further away, I can't believe it increased third party. What a stunning turn of events. What is that? Exhibit ZZX in how much Bungie doesn't know what they're doing in that game? Dear Lord. It's low card farming and trials all over again. Like, I read the article about trials, and I'm like, yeah, people are just going to low card farm. This isn't designed very well. They didn't really think about this. We read that they're going to increase the gunfire distance. Once I actually read it appropriately, I thought they were decreasing the audio. I misread the patch notes because I thought you want to decrease third party, make it more tactical. I go back, I reread it. I'm like, oh, you're going to increase the audio? Oh my gosh, it's going to be third party central. You're going to be getting third-partied after everything you do. You're like, let's shoot that bot. Everybody knows we're here. Here they come. There they come. Yo, Broken Earth with the double sub, he says, let's go. Thank you so much. I was just saying if he happened to comment, I may not hear it. Oh. Yeah, I don't need to be told every time ads are popping up. From John in the video, said, this is from Tyler. The performance dips are specifically caused by high numbers of NPCs, which is a CPU limit. It's rare to find that many in one place, and most combat was flawless. Okay. I don't know what game John played then. He says it's rare to find that many in one place. What? Every trailer, every showcase of Crimson Desert that they've ever shown consistently was showing towns, villages, bases, fortresses, castles with lots of NPCs around. What is he talking about? What version of Crimson Desert did he play? It's constant in the marketing, so much so that it was the thing that I kept pointing out. I was like, there's so many people in this town. There's so many enemies in this fight. I don't know why he's saying that. What version of the game did he play? I'm being told that there's an entire system for beta and review codes. This is the normal way to give outlets access to games pre-launch. There's even a system for codes to get early access for specialized functions like beta OS releases. From somebody in the know, there is an entire system on PlayStation for beta and review access that most developers use. Crimson Desert didn't do that. Why? They didn't want Digital Foundry to have access to the game on a base level PlayStation 5. That's why. I don't believe them. They have been misleading and dishonest up to this point. They don't deserve our trust or our benefit of the doubt. They've been withholding. They've been strange. They've been, in my opinion, they have been misleading with the marketing. They don't deserve the benefit of the doubt. They haven't earned that. They haven't earned that. Like, there are studios that, like, if they weren't showing me gameplay, like, let's say Insomniac with Wolverine, they deserve the benefit of the doubt. They've done killer work with Spider-Man 1 and Miles and Spider-Man 2 and Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. If they were like, yeah, we're not ready to show gameplay yet, I wouldn't be like, oh, no. I'd be like, yeah, I trust them. They deserve benefit of the doubt. These guys do not deserve the benefit of the doubt. They've been misleading from jump. Digital Foundry said they're testing the base PS5 this weekend. How? Did they send them a base PS5? Or did they suddenly give them a code? That doesn't make any sense. Within a matter of days, they can give them the code for the base PS5? A Prime sub from Strike One. I forgot I had a Prime sub. I mainly watch on YouTube, so I hopped over here. Thank you guys so much for continuing to use your Prime sub over there. We're 20 members away from the next milestone of 475. I currently owe YouTube a member. If you guys want to steal it, now's the time. You can steal it from Twitch, or Twitch, you can steal it from YouTube. This is Hinky, y'all. We're being asked to believe so many strange things. We're being asked to believe so many oddities and so many peculiarities. It's like, you own the game. Just make your own videos and put them up for people to see. What is this? We're getting lost in the weeds here, boys. Pearl Abyss owns the game. They could put out footage right now. What are we even doing? MM2K says the method with Digital Foundry was odd. And a 5-bomb comes in from Broken Earth. He says, let's link arms, boys, and do this together, and gets us to 460. We're being asked to believe some of the craziest things. It's like, you won't believe us, so we're going to send the game to Digital Foundry. But we're not going to send them the game. We're going to send them a PS5 Pro with the game preloaded. We're going to say that the game isn't available yet. And Alex with the 5-bomb over there on Twitch. It's going to be a bit of a back and forth here. 5 from each. They already said they were optimizing to the very end, which is why they withheld console footage for so long. They're just wrapping up console optimization just now. Okay. Don't you think my caution and my advice to not pre-order is good then? Are you really entitled to base console footage? If they want... Okay, this is what we're going to do. You argue in bad faith. That's the 4th time today you have asked a question that presumes a straw man. I'm done with you. You don't argue in good faith. I think that you're here with bad intentions. A 10-bomb from Broken Earth. Thank you so much. Gets us to 475. I'm done. I'm done with people that do that. I know what you're doing. You intentionally try to get me wound up and frustrated by consistently asking a question that presumes the most absurd thing that I've never said, so that I waste my time arguing with your straw man. I'm done being flat tired by people like you. You're not here in good faith. I can smell the stink on you. I know what you're doing. That's sound advice. Nobody should pre-order until they see footage on their console versions. Yeah, see, there's a reasonable person. There's a reasonable person. Yeah, don't pre-order until you've seen the game on your device. It's that simple. Like, imagine if this game was coming to the Switch too. Wouldn't you have the same mentality? Like, I'm not going to pre-order that game on Switch 2. It seems kind of crazy. It seems kind of ambitious. Like, I'm not going to... Switch 2 is not a very strong console. That would be a very reasonable thing to say and do. Even if you're super excited, what is the harm in waiting and seeing? That's why I don't understand why people label it as hate. Thank you, by the way, Broken Earth, for the 10... I don't think I said that as passionately as I should have. A 10-bomb from Broken Earth to 475. I now owe YouTube 2. Angry Pete with 54 months. There's no reason to pre-order anything these days. They aren't going to run out of digital copies. And thank you. That's an Agent of Chaos to 476. That's why I don't understand. I really genuinely don't understand. Like, people are like labeling it hate. I'm like, I'm going to buy the game. I'm going to stream the game. I'm consistently talking about the game, which drives its relevancy in the algo. I'm not a huge channel, but that does help the game out. And I'm just telling people to not pre-order. That's not hate. Hate would be saying, this game looks like garbage and it's trash and it sucks and the devs are awful and I hate them and I hope their game bombs. Like, that's hate. Me being like, I don't know, y'all, this looks too good to be true. I wouldn't pre-order. And they're acting really, really withholding, and they've been using a lot of marketing tactics, which I think are misleading. That's not hate. I have no interest in the Life is Strange game, NTO. I wouldn't get 5 minutes into the game. I'd be bored out of my skull. A $5 super chat from Broken Earth. I've seen Crimson Desert on PC. I was really excited for it. I think I'm still out on it. I'm bummed about the nonsense that they're trying to pull. If it has magical performance and it's the best game ever, we would all be happy. We all like good games, but there are red flags. Yeah, can I just say something to the people who keep jumping in my comments that are like, I've been following you for a long time, and you've been really negative lately. Did you watch me play Resident Evil 9 and praise it? Did you watch me play Ghost of Tsushima? Or I'm sorry, I keep saying Ghost of Tsushima. Did you watch me play Ghost of Yotei Legends and praise it? Did you? I can't change the news cycle. Did you watch me co-stream Future Game Show and talk about how there were some pretty exciting games in there? Did you watch me talk about that? I can't help that PlayStation did dynamic pricing, and I had to be critical of that. Like, they're testing dynamic pricing. I can't help the fact that Crimson Desert's being dishonest with their marketing. Like, I can't help that Marathon's not doing very good. PlayStation giving up on PC ports of their games, like when Jason Schreier broke that story. I can't change the news cycle. I think that's bad. I'm kind of bummed about that. I was excited about people being able to play Yotei and Saros on PC. I can't change the news cycle, y'all. What do you want me to do? Chase down like cozy indie games to talk about so that you don't get your jimmies rustled when I get upset or make some negative content? I can't change the news cycle. I'm not going to go seek out cozy stories for you. That's not my job. My job is to take what is happening and talk about it, and to tell you what I think, and to not put on airs and to put on some kind of, fake shill show where like I'm just like gliding over things and acting like everything's fine. Some dishonest shell of a PlayStation fan would be sitting here telling you that Marathon's doing fine. Don't believe the hate. Don't look at the Steam charts. Oh, dynamic pricing's not that big of a deal. Like, I'm not going to do that. What are positives you like about the game? Crimson Desert? I think the combat looks incredible. I think the combat system looks vast and creative and interesting. It does sound like it gets a little bit clunky and a little bit clumsy, but it sounds like if you can get past that, it's really enjoyable. It sounds like open world exploratory purpose is really, really good at like the level of like an Elden Ring or even a Breath of the Wild, where like there's really good reasons to explore. Those are all things I think look excellent in the game. A $2 super chat from Broken Earth. No, not the rustling of jimmies. Also, I always find it odd when people do that. It's like, I've been doing this for 10 years. When have I ever been known for grinning, glib positivity? It's not what I'm known for. Who in the world has been here, subbed, and a member for any amount of time and is like, I really like going there. It's very chill vibes, and everything's positive and grinning and glib. No. I'm literally known for debate and criticism, and yeah, sometimes I get critical. What do you want me to say? Lono isn't always negative, just when he's lied to and people are getting shafted. I have been watching since the Destiny 1 days. He's been watching out for us for years. Right, I've done this with so many of the marketing out there. I've tried my absolute best to be like, hey, y'all, I don't know about this. Something doesn't seem right. Whether it was the day before or Redfall or Mind's Eye or the Xbox ROG Ally X saying, like, you'll be able to play games all across your Xbox library. And I'm like, they're giving people a false impression, and I don't like that. And the same with this. I'm like, something isn't right here. Something's off. I had people get really upset at me when I did that with Mind's Eye and Redfall and the day before. I had people get really upset at me. I had people get really upset at me when I said, I don't think Marathon's going to go the distance and have a good player base. I don't think it's got longevity. And look where we are 1 week into the game's launch. I tried to warn people about Concord. I tried to warn people about Highguard. Sorry, what do you want me to say? That it matters more to me that consumers have an honest view and representation of what's going on instead of just some glib, grinning, everything is cozy and roses outlook on everything. But I've also pushed back on calling everything woke and saying AAA studios are cooked and dying. I pushed back on those negative narratives and said we're in a golden age of gaming right now. AAA's doing great, and so is AA and indies. Not every game with a girl in it is woke. Like, I push back against that stuff as well. I don't know. I feel like I sit in the chair and I'm me. I feel like I kind of took off a muzzle the last couple of months and I'm just kind of letting me loose on the show. If you like it, great. If you don't, sorry. This is me sitting in the chair right now. I'm not gonna muzzle myself and try and keep things calm and tepid because it gets a little contentious and a little loud. Oh, sorry. That's me. I genuinely wonder why people have a hard time with these conversations. It's like, I don't care why this guy is talking about this. It's just weird when you try to talk about it and people get offended. I'm telling you, Bajanga, it's such an interesting... Can somebody get me the meme from yesterday? The guy who's saying, leave my company alone. Can somebody get me that meme in the Discord, please? Concord wasn't a bad game. It was a solid, well-optimized, and graphically impressive experience. It just had bad character design and boring gameplay. Yeah, I know. That's like saying that wasn't a bad pizza. It just wasn't baked properly and the sauce tasted bad. Like, what? Huh? Like, of course that makes it a bad game. Like, what do you mean? Like, listen. I don't know why this is the aura of 2026 all of a sudden. What are we doing? What are we doing? From Highguard to Marathon to Crimson Desert, why are so many of you doing this in 2026? Why? Why is this the aura of the gaming press in 2026? More interested in defending corporations than like giving people accurate information. We walked into 2026 and all of a sudden this is like a virtue of gaming press and the gaming conversation on Twitter. You leave my multi-billion-dollar company alone. You stop showing those Steam charts and you stop asking for console footage and you stop saying that you're not interested in a live service game. You stop it. You just buy the products and grin. The frick out of here. What is happening? Yeah, this is a good one, Jaster. I like this one. This is perfect. I mean, it is. This is it, boys. I see some red flags, y'all. You know? Hey, you stop that. I mean, what are we doing? Many streamers are excited. Listen, I've got some questions I want to put up on the board here for you guys. Some of you guys are still using that feature. I'm sorry, one of you is using that feature. Kino Man Sky. He says, with the info we received about the PS6, do you think Sony will neglect the CPU upgrade? I feel a lot of games could run better. I don't have a comment on that. I don't know much about it. I'm not paying much attention to it. Do you think it's normal that Bungie to lose 25,000 Marathon players from last Friday, almost 50%? I mean, we can kind of shift gears to that. I know people don't want to talk about it, but we're going to talk about it. There's no freaking getting around this one, boys. I'm sorry. If it's upsetting you and you don't like talking about Marathon Steam charts and Marathon player base numbers, it's a new live service game from the company that PlayStation bought to be the spearhead of the Center for Live Service of Excellence, okay? This has never been more relevant to gaming news than right now. Right? Let me say one final thing about Crimson Desert before we switch to kind of talking about Marathon. Listen, if there are streamers that are excited and had a good time at the preview events, I don't care about that. That's great. Let them be excited. I'm not telling people to not be excited. I'm not telling people that the game is going to be a disaster and it's going to suck and it's going to burn your house down. I'm saying, listen to me. Don't pre-order because they haven't earned it. You should start to stand up straight and tell these companies to earn your money. They shouldn't do it with a hype trailer. They shouldn't do it with footage that's not indicative of the experience that you're going to have on your console or your platform of choice. Make them earn your money. It's their job. That's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to do a value proposition and honest marketing so that they earn your money and then you are satisfied with your purchase. If they don't want to do that, then don't give them your money. It's that simple. I'm not doing us versus them tribalism. I'm saying in the value exchange in the market, that is how you should posture. If you want my money, you better earn it. Show me a product worthy of my money. You guys just have endless money to throw away? I don't. I got bills to pay. I got braces to pay for. I can't just buy everything that comes across my path. You got to earn my money. Now, I buy these games no matter what. That's a cost of doing business. That's part of my business operations. That's not the same as you as a consumer who buys the game and there is no business expense. It's a leisure expense for you. $10 super chat from Empreb. I got the marathon game because I love the IP vibes, but I knew it was going to crash and burn by gut feels. I'm here to say I was here. I know it's going to crash by the odds in my experience of gaming. So that's the last thing I want to say about Crimson Desert. I don't want to beat that dead horse. We've been going for about an hour and a half. I did like a 20-minute show open. So that's about an hour of talk about Crimson Desert, right? Does this say no to Rage? That was originally my brand's name, yes. I was a full-time Destiny content creator. Yes, you recognize the voice. Picture me with long hair. Yep, that's me. I got my Twitch channel back in April of last year. I don't shy away from questions about anything that happened. I don't shy away from telling people who I am and who I was, because I told the truth back then, and still do today. Top reply with a member plus. Thank you so much. That gets us to 477. Okay. Long hair and much younger looking. What? Come on, Zubair. Why? You know? Why wouldn't you say thinner? I'm thinner. I'm thinner than I was back then. You can't say that? You got to talk about how I look older? Gee, many Christmas. It's rude. Okay. I think this is significant. I think when the company that PlayStation bought to become the spearhead of the Center for Live Service Excellence, I should say, when their brand new 5 to 6 year in development, big budget project looks like this on Steam, and that a source, Paul Tassi, has contacts at Bungie who have told him this is where most of the players are playing. That means that this is the same thing and worse on console. Okay. You went from looking like you were 24 to 34. Stop complaining. I appreciate that. The thing to pay attention to here, it's not just the peaks, it's the valleys. Now ignore this valley here. This real big spike here, ignore that one. That one doesn't matter. That was maintenance. That was an update. 36,000 here, 36,000 here. Then 25,000, then 23,000, then 20,000, then 19,000. Not only are the peaks lower every day, so are the valleys. This is a downward trajectory, boys. It's been out for 1 week. This is bad. This spells trouble. This spells trouble. That's not a very big. This is their biggest player. This is their biggest percentage of the player pool. Top reply says rent is due. Thank you for a tier 3. That is so generous. I'm counting that as a double. And then another one comes in from 8-Bit Dad, and we are exactly 20 members away from landing the 500 plane. And then if you guys hit stretch goal, you can make Madam and I do a double header tonight, and we will play Slay the Spire 2. I think that would actually be hilarious to have Madam play Slay the Spire 2. If Sony knew what P. Parsons had been cooking, the sale value would have dropped like a rock. Paul Tassi said that as well. He said one of the reasons that they really were valued at what they were valued when they were sold to PlayStation was this. Oh, that's a big one. Top reply with the 20 bomb on Twitch. There it is. Well, now you guys can work on stretch for the rest of the day. If you guys are not aware, on Saturday night, when we do this, when for the week we hit 500, Saturday night and a whole extra stream, my wife sits down with me and we have her react to gaming news. It is hysterical because she's not tuned into this world at all. If you guys get to the stretch goal, we do a double header. We do a second part of that stream where we play a game together. So thank you so much for that incredible generosity top reply. I appreciate it. You used to be thick. I used to be about 20 pounds heavier, yes, and I carried most of it in my face and my gut. So, someone create a site to track Marathon and other games that are flopping. Okay, so this gives you a better visual of what's going on, okay? What this does is this represents like trajectory. What this yellow line should be doing is it should be at the top and the bottom to show, like, this is a very, very bad trajectory. It's like, it's kind of like, I was reading a book once, and a guy said, you know, he was helping his buddy deliver medical supplies in Africa, and he would give him a heading. And he would get very mad at him and very stern with him if the heading was off by even like half a degree. He's like, listen, if we're off by like half a degree, we could end up in the wrong place and literally get shot down. Like, that's where they were flying in and out of, okay? So, when you're in a boat or a plane and the trajectory is set this direction, you got to think about where that's going to take you over the long term. My hand ends up all the way over here in the camera when I'm pointed over there. When I adjust by like just a teeny bit, look where my hand ends up. It's the difference between touching the end of the frame of the camera and the center, right? So you look at the trajectory that they're headed on, and you have to think about, where is this game headed? It's not headed in a good place. It just isn't. If you're enjoying the game, you need to know about this. This isn't hate. I'm not trying to be a buzzkill. I'm trying to be a sober dose of reality. If you are playing this game right now, or even consider buying this game right now, you need to know that your money is potentially going into something that doesn't have life, like doesn't have a long life expectancy. Shroud had 2,000 watching. I'm not sure what you mean. This shows Arc versus Marathon aligned to release. They have opposite trajectories. Thank you, Mediocre Milton. This is actually really, really helpful. Thank you, Mediocre Milton. You got bought by Nightbot. But, like, do you see what Arc did in its early days? Look all the way on the left side. Forget the whole chart. You need to look all the way over here. Right here. I'll make this really, really simple. I'll make this even simpler. I will just snip that section. How do I zoom in on this? All right, I got an idea. I'll just paste it. Paste it, Papa. All right, I'll just paste it. Okay. Open link. Okay. This is extremely helpful to look at, okay? These are the early life trajectories of Marathon and Arc Raiders. Not only are they separated by a giant chasm, that's not really the issue. Okay? That's not really the issue. It's the trajectory. Look, Arc was like boop, and then it dipped, and then boop. You see? That's inertia, that's momentum, that's velocity. It's like, oh wow, people are enjoying it. Not only are people coming back, word of mouth, more people are coming in. Marathon's headed in the exact opposite direction. It's just continually going down. You see? The issue is not the total. The issue is the direction. So everybody was talking about like the review score and, well, people are having a good time and it's at the top of the charts, the seller charts. It's like you really need to understand. It's like I said the other day. You can go bowling once a year. You're not an expert. You don't watch bowling on TV. And when somebody throws a bowling ball down the lane and it's not going fast enough, like a child, like lightly rolls it, and it's like shishum, shishum, shishum. You can tell as a non-expert, you're like, that ball's not going to make it. It's going to run out of speed and end up in the gutter. It is. You don't have to be an expert analyst to look at this and say, this is headed in the wrong direction. It doesn't look like you've got a consumer like buy-in. It's not even like a flat line. It's just literally going down. It's literally going down. So again, this is worrisome. And I'm not doomsdaying. I'm not saying dead game, flop. This is Concord 3. I'm not doing that. I'm literally saying, listen, y'all, if you're playing this game right now, I'd really caution you from spending large amounts of money in the store. I'd even caution against buying it at this point. It doesn't seem like it's headed in a direction where, like, I can't even guarantee you're going to have a good time with matchmaking. Like, if you're trying to squad fill, what you have to remember is, that this is the largest player base. That means less people are playing. I imagine there's 32,000 people playing right now on a Friday, like a Friday late morning, early afternoon, right? It's a Friday late morning Eastern time. You know, Europe could be playing right now just fine, right? There's 32,000 people. That means there's less than that playing on PlayStation. So like if you turn off crossplay and you're trying to matchmake, that's a really, really small funnel of players for you to try to matchmake with. You need to know this. This is not hate, boys. It isn't. I know people tried to do this with High Guard, and they tried to do it with Marathon, and it's like all your bluster and all your pearl clutching and virtue signaling, it won't save this game. What will save this game is listening and trying to adapt as quickly as you can. I don't even know if they can. Yo, Risick does Agent of Chaos 501. He's like, boys, let's shoot for the stretch goal. Europe is working. Yeah, but as these hours progress, Europe's going to be getting home and can play. It's very clear this game is being carried by North America, homie. As soon as North America goes to sleep, it just plummets. Other regions of the world are not picking up the slack. I enjoy the game, and it does have great reviews, but the numbers aren't really there. I think people are going to start coming around to that reality, Jay Porter. I think they're going to realize that, like, listen, you know, there are people being hateful and being nasty and, like, trying to will another flop into existence. I've never once done that. I have been so unbelievably fair to Bungie given my history with them. Top Reply, I think I missed your resub on YouTube as well. 35 months. Thank you very much, Top Reply. You said something about appreciate you responding to comments on past videos. Sucks at work. My signal doesn't allow me to watch live. No worries, brother. And Big Dino with 54 months, do you think poor player performance is the reason Bungie canceled their GDC talks? That's another story we can't get a straight answer on. People said that they had been canceled for weeks. And I'm like, what? Why would they be on the website then? If weeks ago GDC stuff would cancel, you'd rip it from the site. You wouldn't want people thinking, it doesn't make an ounce of sense. If you cancel something before the event's even happening, you just remove it from the site. You don't leave it there. Did you get mine on YouTube? Hang on. Oh, no. 42 months from Alex. Thank you. That gets us to 504. Could you imagine how expensive review copies would be if they were mailing consoles for every review? That was good. He only shows Steam charts. Where are the console charts? Most players are on Steam. Console charts are irrelevant. Lies. No, that's true. Naramo 105 over there on Twitch. Paul Tassi literally said that Bungie told him most of the players are on PC. Its primary audience is on PC, brother. I don't know what to tell you. I'm so sorry. I really am sorry. I really am. I know people are having a fun time. Majority of players on console. No, Bungie has said the exact opposite. I hate to be the one to tell you that. I know people were thinking that. I know people were thinking, oh no, most of the players are on console. No. Straight from Bungie to somebody who has been reliable. Paul Tassi has sources at Bungie. I'm not gonna withhold I'm not going to be like grudge holdy or snippy and nasty about people anymore. I've moved past that. I don't have any issue with Paul Tassi. He has reliable sources at Bungie, and he has said they told him that the audience is on PC, which means every time you look at this chart, there are less people playing on console. That's just the unfortunate reality. There are people here, there are members of this community that I like and I enjoy them and I genuinely feel bad for them. They were excited about this game. They really thought this game was going to be something special, and it is sputtering out quickly. It is sputtering out quickly. It's been virtually uncontested this week. You can't blame it on a release this week. You can't blame it on a release last weekend. It's virtually uncontested. No major games have come out. We were hearing like, oh, Resident Evil 9 and this, that, and the third and blah, blah, blah whenever, they had their server slam. And it was like, okay. Okay, so people are asking if I think like Bungie will shut down. Let me give you my theory as to what's going on, okay? Let me just give you my theory as to what I think is going on. Because this right here, hang on. I don't know what's going on with my Zoom. This is a website that's like overlaying a trajectory on the game as well. It looks bad, okay? They're not trending in the right direction. They're trending in the wrong direction. You need growth. You need growth for a live service game to make it. We're 1 week in and they're showing the opposite of growth, okay? So what I think is going on, and this is why I think the GDC talks were canceled. I'm just theorizing. I have no inside information, right? I don't have contacts at Bungie. Surprise, surprise. I don't have contacts at Bungie, okay? This is my theory. I believe they are in a bit of a crisis mode right now because I said from the beginning that one of the issues with this game would be bandwidth reallocation. If the game isn't doing well, you cannot justify the staff that's been supporting it. This game has been in development for 5 to 6 years. According to Paul Tassi, a lot of Bungie worked on it. According to Paul Tassi, it had a big budget. Okay? They are doing bandwidth reallocation right now. That you can't justify having lots of people work on a game that is at this threshold. This right here is representative of the revenue that it's generating. Unless you have absolute insane, just bonkers whales in the game right now, this game is not generating revenue to justify bandwidth allocation to it, whether you're talking about like staff, resources, etc. So I believe the Destiny 2 thing that they're doing in June, I believe that is the last hurrah. I believe Destiny 2 is going to be put out to pasture. It is going to be put out to sea. End of life. They'll put a live team on it to keep it going and do bug fixes and stuff. But by and large, all content for Destiny 2, I believe, has been shelved. I think it's done. I think Marathon will be put on life support. I think they will assign a very small team to Marathon as well. And I think every other able-bodied developer is working on Destiny 3. That's what I think. That's what I think. Bungie recently banned someone from Marathon who was banned in D2 because of that specific reason, so half the player base is on a clock to get banned. You should do a little bit more research into why that individual was banned. They were banned for pretty awful things and going after developers and stuff. It wasn't just like, oh, well, you're also, you're banned in D2. I'm not banned in Marathon. We'll never know why I was banned in Destiny 2. They never told me. I think somebody high up at Bungie went in and did a Steam dev ban on me. I was never given an explanation. It was 100% a retaliatory ban. It wasn't because I broke TOS. I never went after any of their staff members or anything like that. I kept things on the up and up, and all I ever did was tell the truth. And all I ever did was get retaliatory treatment for trying to tell the truth. But the guy that got banned from Marathon, who was also banned from Destiny, come on, man. I would look into what that individual has done. Eric the Beard says the game will hit over 70,000 again this weekend. Outpost seems to be a hit. If Cryo Archive is a hit, this game will see a bump. Yeah, no, I'm happy to talk about that, Eric, because I don't agree. I don't see it the way that you're seeing it, okay? It was Chris Barrett. No, it wasn't Chris Barrett that got me banned from the game. I had individuals look into it. I had people that got folks who were former and current employees at Bungie speak to them. It was Luke Smith. Luke Smith had it in for me for the most crazy reasons I think I've ever heard, but I trust the people who investigated it. They got folks from the company to talk to them. It's why there were false copyright claims on Upper Echelon's video. They were trying to keep the story quiet. They didn't want information coming out because they were heavily involved in what happened to me in 2020. And I think that's what people think. They think I have it in for Bungie. I've consistently defended Bungie over the years. I think they still have very good info and good input on live service. I think Marathon was a lame duck from moment one because of the genre. Because of the genre. I just don't think this thing ever really had a shot in the market. SDO says, hey, Lono, out of interest, when you were streaming, how close did you get to Bungie's inner workings? Not very close at all. I was not liked. It was obvious I was not liked. I was one of the few people that continued streaming the game into 2018, and their very, very first community summit, I was not invited. For some reason, I rubbed somebody the wrong way over there. It was a common thing. It was a common thing with that company. There were a handful of streamers over the years. It made no sense. They were popular. People liked them. And somebody at Bungie didn't. And there were certain creators that were just never included in things. And thank you for the coffee order, Mr. Your name start EDRM. Thank you, EDRM, for the coffee order. I appreciate that so much. Let's be fair. I'm here every day, and I can barely tolerate you. That's right. That's Rich. You were Bungie's biggest defender to that point. Yeah, I got called a shill. I got called all sorts of stuff. Okay, but I want to take what Eric is saying. Eric the Beard. I don't think Cryo, Time Flies, RN Jesus, and Vicky were the goats. Mm-hmm. Yeah, RN Jesus and I spoke privately multiple times. He spoke with people at the company, and yeah, I hope Chris Barrett's case goes to court because discovery will be very informative, and maybe one day people will realize that I've been telling the truth the whole time, but we'll see. I don't think the Cryo map is going to be a Vault of Glass situation. Here's why. Destiny 1 had massive intrigue. I mean, massive. They had massive purchase and people diving in and playing, and then they started to drop. Marathon hasn't had that at all. Yo, Chrono, thank you for the raid. Track with me here. Their start has been so tepid in comparison to Destiny 1. Destiny 1 had so many people playing and scrounging and trying to find something to do. Like, Destiny 1 felt really good. It felt good to play and to be in and to, like, shoot on patrols and stuff. I remember playing Destiny 1, like, all the time and not really doing anything. I would just run in a circle on Venus and try to find chests. It was just satisfying to be in the world. The problem with Destiny 1 was people were like, there's nothing to do. Vault of Glass comes out and it's like, yo, these boys can cook. They can make really crazy, awesome PvE content. And then guess what happened? A year later, Taken King saves the day. Yeah, Destiny 1 sold like 25 million copies. Like, Destiny 1 had massive public interest. So you had way more people to, like, come clamoring back when Vault of Glass happened. Or to come clamoring back when the Taken King happened. That has not happened with Marathon. This is your biggest audience right here. The most people playing Marathon, according to Bungie themselves, this is their biggest audience. 88,000 concurrents and declining every single day since launch. It's been out for a week. There is no resurgence coming for Cryo. There isn't. Now, maybe the people that bought it, you'll see numbers, surge, because they're all going to want to try to get in and do the thing, but you're not going to win back like this ocean of people, because there isn't an ocean of people. You've got an Olympic-sized pool at best that might, they'll all come surging back, but Huh? Vogue brought hope? Yeah, Vogue also brought hope of like, oh yeah, this is Bungie can do some special stuff here. Destiny 1 was amazing. I was sad when the alpha and the beta ended. I sat in the world until they kicked us out. There was something special about Destiny. You just liked to be in the world. It was fun to shoot. I booted up Destiny 1 the other day on my Xbox Series X, and even at like a 75 FOV, 30 frames per second, it still just felt good to be in the world. Shooting those vandals on the Cosmodrome and jumping and gliding, reloading my gun, seeing a Firefly explosion. It just felt great to be in the game. All these years later, 12 years later, and I still was like, wow, what a game. It's been 12 years. It's got the secret sauce. Marathon? I just don't think there's anything there, dude. Hype can do a lot for a game. Look at Helldivers 2 when word got out. Yeah, but Helldivers had momentum from moment one. It was like, oh. This has been like, Like, it's just going down. Like, the real issue with Marathon is that it is a very unappealing game. It's not just unwelcoming. It's like super unappealing. Like the content loop itself is just not that exciting. It's not that fun. It's such a wash, rinse, repeat experience. The minute I've watched Shroud, I watched Peanut, I watch all those people play, and the minute they tip over and have a decent amount of weapons and a decent amount of ammo, you know what they do? They're in that game and they just shoot everything. Shoot everything, kill everything, whether it's bots or people. And it's just the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again. It's just a meat grinder. That's why I think it's going in the direction it's going. It's a meat grinder. Even the people that are playing it less as the week goes on. The game's been out for a week and their engagement numbers are dropping. Their peaks and their valleys are both going down. Watch them do the fake tournament. It won't save the game, says Robe. Can we both agree that an Arc Raiders like Last of Us Online game was the right move? So, I watched a video by a guy who argued that, and he was wrong for one big, giant, and significant reason. Naughty Dog didn't want to do it. Sorry. All your fancy argumentation and presumption about like what could have been with the Last of Us factions and how it could have been just like Arc Raiders, Naughty Dog didn't want to do it, so it never would have worked. If they weren't willing to convert their studio into a live service studio, it was never going to work. Never. Oh, by the way, this Steam chart gets a little bit more worrisome. I didn't even have the full Steam chart. We've been looking at this. This looks bad. This looks worse because that's your launch date. I didn't even have the launch date in the dadgum frame. Look at the slant from launch date to today. That's why this is so important. The green line is Marathon. The blue line is Arc Raiders. Clearly, Arc Raiders was getting velocity, momentum, and word of mouth. Marathon's just on a downward slope. It's just, you're not even maintaining the folks that started out with it. It's just down every day since launch. It's not about the number, it's about the trajectory, and it looks bad. The biggest shame of the Last of Us factions was that there was a great game mode that we never got to see. Yeah, you know what they should have done? They should have just tried to get it ready, and they should have just shipped it with The Last of Us 2 remastered. It should have just been an extra free mode with that. I don't know. They should still do that now, like how they added Legends to Ghosts of Yotei. I think that they should do that. They should get that thing ready for market and just add it to The Last of Us Part 2 remastered. There would be a groundswell of people that would suddenly go and buy The Last of Us Part 2 remastered, and it could just be a fun mode. The problem is they were probably building it to be more than a mode, so it can't be like retrofitted into a game. No one could do even Tlu online, but Naughty Dog. As soon as another dev gets on it, the quality drops. Naughty Dog is the best in the world. I mean, I don't know if I would say they're the best in the world. I would say they're one of the best, and I would say that I agree with you. I don't think you'd want to, like, hand it to another studio. That I think is totally fair, yes. Destiny 1 and 2 made their money back on day one sales. They had time to turn the course around. The other thing that I think is important here is Creature, my producer, he said this the other day, because we pulled up the chart, like Justin Truman's like looking at the chart, and like they were up here, and then they just slowly went down in players. And he was like, well, yeah, they jumped out of a plane. They had a lot of time before they hit the ground to make adjustments and to get things working again, which the Taken King was a huge moment for that turnaround 12 months later, right? And he said, Marathon didn't jump out of a plane. It's jumping off a picnic table. Like the ground's like right there. It's like you guys are so low already. This is why I kept trying to tell people last week. I was like, I'm not being a hater. I'm trying to tell you guys there are 3 really important numbers in live service. There's your opening peak, there's your floor, and there's your minimum viable player count. The number that you can't go below. If you go below the minimum viable player count, the game stops functioning properly. It's crisis. It just falls apart once you get below that number because you don't have enough people. You don't have enough people to matchmake. You don't have enough people to justify funding any of it anymore. You just continue to fall from that point on the minute you're below your minimum viable player number. They're approaching minimum viable player numbers. They have to be. It just doesn't look good at all if the bulk of the players are on PC. This is a bad situation. And here's the thing. The game has potential. It's got grind. It's got stuff to do. They have a content plan. They're already very near MVP. I think so, Empreb. $5 super chat from Viper. The other reason I don't think Cryo Archive will help, imagine Vault of Glass, but when you die, you lose your loadout. Balancing a raid is difficult. Here's what I think they need to do before Cryo comes out. I mean this, and I really do mean this. I'm not arguing for me here. You guys have got to hear this. You got to give people the option to play the game PvE only. You got to do that before Cryo Archive comes out. You need that resurgence. You need those people to come clamoring to your game who like PvE, who are going to want to grind for Cryo Archive like they did in Destiny. And people are like, well, that's just Destiny. Yeah, well, it'd be a nice stopgap. It'd be a nice stopgap. You're not going to be making very much money in Destiny 2. Destiny 2 is going to be getting put out to pasture as far as I can tell. And you could make Marathon generate some money for you and some capital for you, justify its existence, and then you've got something to do and something to bring some money into the company while you start working on Destiny 3. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. And I know that sounds insane because it's like, it's an extraction shooter. What are you talking about? And it's like, listen, desperate times call for desperate measures. If you want this game to survive, if you want that player base number to turn around, if you want to have some money and some revenue, you've got to do something to rub the paddles together and get this thing going again. And I can't think of anything else that would do it. What else could you do to this game to turn the numbers around? What? What are you going to do? The general public has said, we're not interested in a game like that. We're not. Arc Raiders works because people can play it like a PvE game. You can call it Unk Raiders all you want. You can say, I'm a casual dad. I don't care. I'm this close to getting Casual Dad Gamer tattooed on my dadgum arm. I don't care. There are so many of us. Casual Dad Gamers are legion. We are here, and we spend money and time in games more than almost any demographic. I bet you. We're a huge demographic. The average age of gamers is males 28 to 55. Do you want to know what a lot of us are? Casual dad gamers. When you spurn us, mock us, and tell us to go play something else, we will. Look at Call of Duty. Look at any game that turns their back on that casual audience, that more mid-lane player. Look at what happens when they turn their back on that audience. Your game doesn't go anywhere. Casual dad gamers are legion. Get frickin' used to it. And this game, what are you going to do? Who are you going to get to buy the game? Who's going to come play it? Who? My armrest moved. Casual dad gamers are the last bastion of console gaming. They want our money. People hate casual Carls. They don't understand they keep the lights on. Casual dad gamers don't have time for lousy grinds and crap games. Do you want to know what casual dad gamers don't have time for? They don't have time for grinds that yield no results. You can't imagine grinding and trying to do something in Marathon and then you get killed and you don't make progress. A dad doesn't have time for that. Even if you're not a dad, if you're just like casual unk status and you like get home from work, you don't have time for that. You're trying to play for a couple of hours, drink a brewski, go to bed, and go back to work the next day. You don't have time to have some sweaty, sweatband-wearing, G-Fuel snorting tryhard to kill you and take your stuff. You don't have time for that. I have no children. I'm a casual dad gamer. Some of you guys are casual dad gamers in spirit, right? You might as well have some kiddos. Like, you're busy. You don't have time for all of this. You got a shift to work tomorrow. Like, that's the point that I think people miss in these conversations. Oh, it's hardcore. It's punishing. You have to learn. The average gamer doesn't want to do that. They're busy. They don't have time for your game to be the thing that only matters to them. Like, go read a lore guide and study map heat markers and know where all the ammo is and be really quiet and hit all your shots. The frick? Dude, I'm 44. I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. I'll go play ball pit. Like, what? What are you talking about? Nobody wants that sweaty meat grinder anymore. There are people that do, but those games are largely already here and largely already have their player bases. Try and launch a super sweaty, punishing PvP live service game in 2026 and see how it goes for you. You ain't gonna make it. There aren't enough players that want to do that, and by its very nature of a content loop, people just get tired of it. It's like, it just wears you out mentally. It just wears you out. It's like, you're always intense, head on a swivel, always gonna maybe lose my stuff and always have my progress reset. Nobody wants to do that when you're trying to relax. Now, some do, but most don't. The majority of the player pools out there don't want to have that experience, I'm here to tell you. It's not that nobody wants it, it's that not enough people. I think that's Zinthos, that's more carefully stated. I'm ranting, but yes, I completely agree. It's not that nobody wants it, it's that not enough want it to sustain a AAA Studios live service game. Listen, if this was some little scrappy indie studio, they'd be over the moon that they've got this kind of recurring, consumer base. But that ain't Bungie, y'all. My PS5 Pro doesn't run Microsoft Excel for a reason. That's right. GameIndustry.biz says, will there actually be any such thing as a Project Helix native game? Rob Fay says that although the Xbox keynote at GDC revealed some details of the next Xbox hardware, the unanswered questions are where the real story lies. You see why people got so snippy and so persnickety with me when I was asking about native and whether or not games were going to run native? Like, this is right here is why people got so snippy with me. I think they sensed the fact that it wasn't spoken to. They know that this was like a glaring omission from the talk. That's why people were being real mad at me. They thought I was trying to do some kind of a gotcha. I'm like, I'm just trying to figure out how the frick this thing is going to work. Why are you guys all twisted up about it? This guy says, to all you marathon haters out here. Hang on a second. I want to watch this first to make sure there's no swearing in it, and I'll show it to you guys. No, I can't. He's dropping MF. He's dropping MF. Sorry, boys. There are contracts that require you that you don't have to require the exfil to complete unless you're talking about something else. Yeah, and you want to know what happened whenever I tried to do some of them? I got killed within 2 minutes of being in the server, so it didn't matter. Dragon King says, if we can get to 550, I'll drop a 50. Listen, y'all, he's talking about the member count over here. Let's scramble. Twitch, YouTube, everybody help us out. Do your Prime resubs, do your subs, do some gifteds. Dragon King is throwing down a gauntlet. He says, if you can get it to 550, he will drop a 50 bomb of members. Let's get it. Hilly says, I still maintain if you replace the word Bungie with Ubisoft or EA, the conversation is different, but the player base and revenue requirements would be the same. Hilly, I love that you keep bringing that back up because I think it is such a good point. It is such a good point. Because, like, if it really is a salient point. Because it's like, if anybody else tried this and were getting these results, people would be absolutely having a field day. More EA slop. The resub button looks juicy, but money is tight in this economy. I totally understand, Laser. I totally understand. If you pay for Amazon Prime, you have a Prime sub you can use. If not, just wait and see if somebody gifts to you. Low Life with 59 months over there on YouTube. We're a 20 bomb away from 525. Listen, remember, YouTube, I already owe you guys 2. If you get your personal count for your platform to 100, I owe you a 5 bomb. Especially if it was Ubisoft. That's what I mean. If Ubisoft did this, oh my gosh. I wonder. I really wonder. And a 10 bomb comes in from Loch Ness, and he says, let's go, boys. We've got a gauntlet. If you guys get the member count to 550, Dragon King is going to drop a 50 bomb. And Loch Ness says, let's get it. Do you guys remember a little game called Skull and Bones? I wonder if we did a receipt poll on all of the people and all of the outlets who are suddenly clutching their pearls about looking at Steam charts and player numbers. I wonder if any of those people or outlets talked about the Skull and Bones player numbers. Gee, that'd be a really fun investigation to do, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be interesting? Because I remember that was nothing but headlines and videos and tweets about Ubisoft Skull and Bones not having good player numbers. Tacos and Burritos with 34 months over there on Twitch. Thank you so much for renewing your subscription over there. You honestly never heard of that game? Let's just do a little Google search. Skull and Bones player numbers. Let's just see. Let's just see who covered it. Report. Skull and Bones attracted 850,000 players in its first week, less than other major 2024 releases. There you go. Skull and Bones had 87% less PS5 players than Sea of Thieves last week. Skull and Bones has less than 1 million players total, including free trial players. Wow. Skull and Bones is finally on Steam, but unfortunately, it's not going well. With just over 400 players on Steam. Look at that! A simple Google search. Assassin's Creed Black Flag players rise 200% upon Skull and Bones release. Skull and Bones has not reached 1 million players. Isn't it interesting? Oh, so interesting that when Ubisoft launched a live service pirate game and it didn't go well, everybody's talking about the player numbers. It's very interesting. Very interesting indeed. We're not supposed to do that with Bungie, I guess. The problem I have with Cryo Archives is they are hiding that big, cool enemy we saw with all the marketing behind something that 90% of the players won't see. I said that before the game was even out, brother. Before the game was even out, I was like, that's an interesting strategy. You are... This is where I said that the game has like an identity crisis. You are creating aspirational content that's very like PvE, and you have all this stuff in the way of like PvE players aren't going to do that. They're just not. Do you want to know how I know that? Look at the player trends in Destiny. This is why Bungie, their decision making on this, it just blows my mind. It just absolutely blows my mind that they know all the data all of their players that flocked to like dungeons and raids and strikes and nightfalls, such a very small percentage of those players would hang out in PvP and would hang out in trials. Such a very small percentage. Like, and yet, they made a game where they're like, here's this thing that we know people enjoy, raid-like, dungeon-like content, and in order to get here, you got to play through a bunch of sweaty PvP. Imagine if in order to get to the dungeon in Destiny or to the raid in Destiny, you had to go to the lighthouse. Imagine what would people say to that? Pick your own. I was shooting that one. Sorry, creature. We were both like, get him. We were both like, get him out of here. When both of the bouncers grab you and then they trip on themselves. Like, as a thought experiment, what do you think people would have said if they're like, hey, our next dungeon, our next raid, you got to go to the lighthouse to access it? People would have been like, huh? Like, what? That's literally the value proposition of Marathon. It's a juxtaposed identity. It doesn't make sense. It's like, wait a minute, but why would nobody wants to do that? The raid itself, the dungeon itself is appealing to PvE players. It's not appealing to PvP players. Now, that doesn't mean that PvP players won't play a dungeon or a raid. They certainly did. Dragon King with the $2 says, if you don't like what Lono is saying, just leave. I appreciate that. By the way, guys, Dragon King has thrown down a gauntlet. If you can get the member count to 550, he's going to drop a 50 bomb. He's trying to help us get to that stretch goal of 750. So make sure and check your membership renewals by hitting the $sign and check your primes over there on purple. Or you guys can start a little gifted train. We don't need very many to get there. We're at 516 already. Why is Lono and Creature PvPing in a YouTube chat? Seems sweaty. Yeah, Div 2. Div 2's on a rise. I have no interest in going back to Div 2. I'm only interested in Div 3. Omar says, I'm mad because if you were someone who also played PvP like I did, they never gave that mode attention, and then they went out here and they made their game more focused on PvP. Lono just loves being called dude. It's his all-time favorite word. That's right. Hey Lono, I, a fellow Dad Gamer channel on YouTube. As soon as you brought up Dad Gamer, I got this notification. That's right. Welcome to Gaming Dad Legends. That's right. Derek says, help lift Shadowban? Huh? Hilly says, not to mention, Bungie have brought a season pass day one so low on skins, they had to add stuff. They had to adjust the currency packs as they were so obviously mobile market. They were selling t-shirts with codes for in-game content over a year ago. Like, F me, how the mighty have fallen. Echo Doctrine says this. Also, while in the raid, you might get the Mythic class, and then PvP player kills you and takes your loot. That's right. Force of Will with 30 months bumps the line to 417. Thank you. I don't always like what Lono says, but I can appreciate his opinions. Do I still have to leave? No. Dragon King's just being goofy. Dragon King is just being absolutely goofy. When is the somehow I told you so just won't quite do it video coming? I mean, I'm on a bit of a runner today, aren't I? Crimson Desert, Marathon, and Project Helix is a PC. I mean, that's not 3 strikes. That's three hits out of the park. Like, I'm putting it all in one live stream, brother. Like, just bam, bam, bam. Like, goodness gracious. Top reply says, Force of Will, you're pay to win. You can stay. Hilly says, they have trades on PvP encounters, and people are saying this game is hardcore. Yeah, I'm not even that good of a player, and I got 2 trades day one of the launch. Like, I got 2 trades, 2 different matches. Like, huh? Give Marathon another week, it'll be down 50%. I genuinely mean this. I'm not posturing. I feel bad for the people that are enjoying it. I do. I don't think they're lying. I'm seeing them play. I know they're having a good time because they're spending a lot of time in the game. I 100% from my heart, full chest mean it. I feel bad for y'all that are enjoying it. It doesn't look like it's going to make it. Chris, in our members-only Discord, says, what else the PvP players were in Destiny? They were loyal. When the PvE content was at its lowest, the PvP player base was still consistent. It seems like they're going for loyal players over higher players this time. I don't know if I agree with that, brother. Yeah, I don't know if I agree with you. Like, I'm not disagreeing with the part about, like, the PvP guys stayed loyal. I don't know if that's their goal here. You know what I mean? They hated him because he told the truth. This guy says they hated him because he was a bit of a tit. Listen, that's fair. You will not get an argument from me on that. I was a prick. I mean, I still kind of am. Not as much as I was back then. But during those Destiny 2 days, like 2017 to 2019, yeah. Early 2020, I had a change in my heart, in my beliefs, in my spirit, and I started trying to be a little bit nicer and a little less caustic, but I was on a bit of a prick run for a couple of years then, and it was easy to dislike me. It still is easy to dislike me. I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress, aren't we all? I mean, but I was a bit of a jerk back then. Some people liked it. Some people liked the fact that I was a bit of a jerk back then. Some people didn't. If they added a PvE mode like waves or something for mid-tier loot, would that make people want to try it? No, I think you need to be able to play the entire game PvE. I do. I think you need to play the entire game PvE, not just like a mode. That wouldn't work. Lono doesn't mean his other prick run in college. That's right. We'll all be better off in the long run if we can just tell the truth. Lono jerk was a time ago. Back then, Hilly says the other factor with Marathon to consider is the speed they can bring changes. Halo Infinite died because of the speed of fixes. Are Bungie quicks to fix things? Nope. It's the engine. I think that's the biggest concern, is that the engine doesn't let them make changes quickly. Now, this version of the engine in Marathon, maybe they can. I don't know. Do you play on Outpost, Lono? It's really good. Hope it pulls through. I'm having a great time with it. I think it's fire. Unless they add a PvE mode, I have no interest in grinding. I just don't have any interest in getting killed as quickly as I was. That's just not the game I'm looking for. So I'm sorry. Even just aggression-based matchmaking would make a difference. I mean, maybe. As in take PvP out? No. No. Don't take PvP out. I get misunderstood on this a lot, and it's because I can't always go through the deep channels of nuance every time we talk about this, okay? I think they should give people the option to just play PvE only. I think you still want to have PvEVP as an option. Now, you could have particular quests and rewards and incentives for actually going into the environment where PvP is turned on. You could. 1533, 1534. Yeah, even for a Friday, it ain't looking good. Crimson Desert drama, what drama? Or just the gaming community overreacting to the DF video? Legit questions. I pointed out what I feel like are problems with the Digital Foundry video in the show open of this show. If you want to rewind and watch that, you can. I don't want to restate it all and do it all over again. I do not think that the way they're handling the marketing of that game has been on the up and up. I feel they're being very misleading. They didn't even send the game to Digital Foundry. They sent them a PS5 Pro with the game loaded. I have it on very good authority from somebody at that. I have it on very good authority from somebody in the know who works in the business who has said the only way that game was installed on a PS5 Pro is if it's gone through the certification process. So the reason they've given for doing it is not true. It's not that the game's not available in the store or not installable. It is. That's how they gave that's how they installed it on a PS5 Pro. Try and install something on your PS5 Pro right now that hasn't gone through the certification process. You can't do it. Like, develop your own game and just install it on a PlayStation 5 Pro. Just do it. You can't. So it's drenched in dishonesty. The marketing's been drenched in dishonesty. I think it's a game that's going to be fun and people are going to like it. I think it's going to have a ton of performance problems on console. It's even going to have a ton of performance problems on PC if you don't have a strong rig. Remember the drone thief issue? Someone discovered to get almost infinite drone launches with a glitch that reduces the cooldown. Remember when I said, Hadigan, before this game came out, that Bungie has a horrendous track record with balance and that they're bad at PvP and that I don't think this is a good game for them to build because you're going to want people to be balanced. You're not going to want metagaming and exploits and things like that to run amok. And the game's been out for a week and I've seen some of the craziest clips. I saw a video that talks about why Marathon is doing well. Would you consider watching it? I think he makes great points. I don't like reacting to brand new content because I don't like serving as a replacement to somebody's hard work. What's the name of the YouTuber in the video? I am not opposed to reacting to content. I don't like, one of the reasons I only reacted to the section on performance in the Digital Foundry video is because I didn't want to serve as a replacement to their video. They do lots of work. Maybe it's a dev kit. Maybe. Nade Straight. That's the name of the YouTuber. I'm also very hesitant to do this with somebody who's smaller than me. 20,000 subscribers. Is it this one here? Let's talk about the marathon player count. It's 1 day old. It's been up since the 11th, so it's been up for 2 days. It doesn't have a good like ratio. Why? Why are people disliking his video? SteamDB does not do irreversible damage. All it does is lay it out to the public. He's also thinking that the budget's closer to 100 million. That somebody in the comments is asking why he thinks the budget was close to 100 million. Yeah, I'm not going to watch the video. I don't think that that's true, and they can't substantiate it. I trust Paul Tassi, who said that the budget is big. Paul Tassi said it was worked on for 5 to 6 years, and it has a big budget. Yeah, I appreciate what you're trying to do, but I'm not going to waste. It's a 10-minute video. That's 20 to 30 minutes of my time. It usually takes me 2 to 3 times longer than the length of a video to react to it. I don't want to take 20 to 30 minutes to react to a video that is pure speculation in a direction that I think we have repudiation of already. If you guys want to go watch his video, feel free. I mean, his name is Nade Straight, and he has a video about the player base numbers. I don't want to do that with my content. I don't think that's worth our time right now. Salary on it alone would be more than that. Yeah, I think that's been largely debunked. I don't think anybody could claim that the budget for this game is 100 million. And I don't know how you look at this and think that things are going well. WTF Game Nation, Lono and Bungie, and we talking Tassie. What year is it? I'm just done holding grudges. I mean, unless somebody crosses a significant line, like there are certainly people whose names I just won't say because I feel like they've crossed significant lines. You know, I'm not going to sit here and hold a grudge. I mean, I would love for Tassie and some others to do the right thing and to, you know, correct public record and actually give a fair hearing to all sides and what happened. But, you know, it's been 6 years. You know what I'm saying? There's no reason to sit here and act like we can't say the man's name. I believe so. It might even been just for an event. Yo, Hellfire with 41 months says frick. Guys, as a reminder, Dragon has a gauntlet thrown. He's going to give a 50 bomb to YouTube if we can get this to 550. We're only 32 away. Make sure you're doing your renewals like Mr. Hellfire just did. I wasn't trying to be negative, just pointing out facts. What'd you say, Polarin? It's a Sea of Thieves situation, and they won't. Oh, like add a PvE mode. Not that I wish Bungie to die, but they really need to learn a lesson. They added a PvE mode to Sea of Thieves. The PvE mode in Sea of Thieves is super limited. It's super limited. It's not the full game. Cassie typically does have good info. Yes. Prick Lono would have held a grudge. I don't even know who you are anymore. Yo, and a single gifted comes in from Siege Master. Thank you so much, Mr. Siege. Roaring Man, good to see you, Roaring Man. I do think Marathon will be fine. It's selling pretty well on Steam alone, yet alone decently on console, and there'll be a ranked mode, which I really hope will get new players to enjoy the game. Can you explain to me why you think ranked mode will help people enjoy it? And another one from Siege Master. Keep in mind, a 5-bomb right now, and I owe you guys a member. So anybody could steal it. Alex just gifted one to Tuna over there on purple, and we're sitting at 521. YouTube, keep in mind, Twitch has an advantage. There's no stream delay over there, so you're going to want to act fast. I currently owe YouTube 2 members. Safer Seas is a half measure. It really is. At this point, I don't know why they wouldn't just throw in the towel and let you play Sea of Thieves PvE. Like, really? Who cares at this point? Who really freaking cares? Listen, if Fortnite can add a no-build mode, then you can add a PvE mode to your dadgum game. I mean that. Like, and I'm saying this to Marathon. If Fortnite can add a no-build mode, then you can add a PvE mode. What are we even talking about here? You really going to be that white-knuckled on this? And John Always with the 5-bomb over there on Twitch. I owe Twitch a member. I'm going to hold off, though. Do you see how you guys are competing? 46 to 44? If you get your individual platform to 100, I owe you guys a 5-bomb. So I'm going to hold back and I'm going to wait. We're going to see what you guys can do. We're going to go to Ginger's show in about an hour. You guys have a whole hour to go crazy. And also, we got the gauntlet for Mr. Dragon King. And another one comes in from Raven. He gets us to 527. Thank you so much, Raven. And a 20-bomb from Top Reply. He's going to get us right on the doorstep of 550. You better be careful. Twitch is going to snipe another one. And a single comes in from Arthur Torres. And a 10-bomb comes in from Brains84. He says, enough is enough. Let's secure the 558. And that 50 bomb will be coming in any minute now. And a 5-bomb comes in from Alex on Twitch. And it was just a little too slow. YouTube got there before you. Marathon has 53 other games beating it right now on Steam. 33,000 players. That's not great. This is something that we talked about. You're competing for attention. They don't have the public's attention. I tried to tell people that before the game came out when we went to the YouTube. When we went to their Marathon's YouTube channel, I was like, they don't have the public's attention. They don't. The public has moved on. Like, and you need that. You need some sense of movement within the public. And a 5-bomb comes in from Garage, and there it is. So 50-bomb comes in from Dragon King. Let's see some farty bombs in the chat to celebrate that. My son calls 50 bombs farty bombs, so let's spam that up and show some appreciation for the generosity of Mr. Dragon King. We appreciate you so much and your generosity to the channel and supporting it and getting people in the member pool door. That's a big farty bomb. It is. It is. And the stretch goal, if you guys get it to 750, you get a double header on Saturday. The second part of the stream, instead of Madam and I shutting down after gaming news, Madam and I will play a game, and we will play Slay the Spire with you. I think that'd be hilarious for her and I to play Slay the Spire 2 together. I know it's not co-op, but when two of us play a single-player game, it's actually pretty hysterical, like arguing over what we should do. So, either that or I think we would do Slay the Spire 2 since it's so red hot, as opposed to doing like Mugenics or something. Roaring Man says Marathon has decent retention of players, though. At least it will hopefully during the weekend. Streamers are also enjoying it. People say that the player count is deadly, but I think not. I actually don't think retention's very good when every single day during the first week of launch, your peaks are lower than your valleys are lower. I actually think the opposite is happening. I think retention is bad right now. This is a better image. This is a better image. Do you see the green line? That's Marathon since launch. The blue line is Arc Raiders when it launched. Like, Arc Raiders clearly was getting people not just retained, but new and jumping in. Marathon's headed in the opposite direction. If this trajectory continues, it's catastrophic. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. If they implement PvE only mode, the loot from there cannot be added to the PvP. No, you would want the loot from there to be in the PvPvE lobbies, because the PvP boys would want something to get when they kill you. What am I going to go into PvPvE with? What? Naked? Like, what's the point? You want me to get big, fat, juicy loot in PvE, and then motivate me to come over to PvPvE, so then the hardcore PvP boys can kill me and take my stuff. I've been on since day one and Deluxe Edition owner, and I'm starting to leave the honeymoon phase. It's a meat grinder, man. Man, oh man. So many times in the lead up to this game, I said it's going to be a meat grinder. I just think that burns people out. I think they'll wring the game out like a rag, and then they'll feel wrung out like a rag, and they'll stop playing. It's hard to sustain engagement in a game that feels like that. It's really, really difficult. Like, it's mentally taxing to be hyper aware all the time, and then you could lose your stuff, and you could die at any moment. Like, it just, I don't know. I don't know what to say. Guys, really quickly, do me a favor. There's so many of you here right now. Thank you for another killer day. Hit that like button. Try to get us to 400 likes. Solo, if you have friends, the game is great. I actually squad filled and had a perfectly fine time, but I like playing a game like this solo if possible. It just isn't really possible. Sepokopia is really fun. It's super popular, isn't it? Dude, PvE is easier than PvPvE. It will create a high difference in loot value and make some stuff less valuable. No, I don't think... I think you're looking at this from the opposite end that I'm looking at it. So what I see is I see people going into PvE, getting super kitted and stacked, and then they go into the PvP environment, and there's a reason to go in there. There's good stuff, right? Everybody can take advantage of this, right? Not just the PvE players. You're acting like the PvP players couldn't do this. Everybody could do this. Everybody get a little stacked, and then go duke it out for whatever the reason is. I felt that way with Call of Duty Black Ops 6, says Gunblade. It got so mentally draining. Gunblade, you put 6.it, and Nightbot thought it was a link. I see what you said. Don't sweat it. D2 YouTubers still get 30 to 70,000 views on their videos. The same people make a marathon video, it gets 1 to 7,000. I'm telling you, the momentum's leaving the room, bro. Even within the algo, like, if you search marathon and you look at what people are getting on their videos, it's been a consistent downward trajectory. It's not just a downward trajectory in the player pools. The videos themselves are going down. That the public just doesn't care. They're like, they've already moved on. I'm seeing videos that are a day old for some pretty big channels that are not getting great views. Astrocross seems to be like the only one. He literally seems to be the only one that can get decent results with his uploads. Yeah. Uh-huh. I'm looking at somebody. I thought for a longest time, man, oh man, this view count doesn't make any sense. There's the people that stream on YouTube. I remember looking at somebody and I was like, I don't get this at all. It was a channel that was basically smaller than mine. It was like every time they went live, they'd have like maybe 200 people watching, 300 people watching, but then I'd go look at the VOD, and the VOD would have like insane viewership, and I'm like, that doesn't add up. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Now it looks correct and appropriate. It's funny how that always works out. When your spidey sense tingles on something, you're like, this doesn't make any sense. Kino Man Sky continues to use the question command. God love you, man. Oh, Bumblepants did as well. Let's see what Bumblepants said. When does Marathon get a PlayStation Plus and or Game Pass edition to try to boost support? Listen, are you not following the botting story? Were there people botting on YouTube? I mean, this was a while ago. There was about a year ago. It was somebody that I was familiar with, and obviously I didn't think very highly of them or whatever. And I was like just trying to see, they live stream on YouTube. Let me see how they're doing or whatever. And they had a YouTube channel smaller than mine. They were, they were in like the 40,000 subscriber range. And like their concurrent count when they would stream would be like 200. And then sometimes it'd be really high and like the chat wouldn't move. And then I look at their VODs and I'm like, how are you getting 10,000 views on a VOD? And like your chat engagement's like non-existent. And, the live view count was all over the place. I was like, I've been live streaming on YouTube for 5 years now, and this behavior doesn't make any sense to me at all. Now their VODs are getting, what I would expect, 2,000 to 3,000 total views. And I'm like, oh, well, that makes more sense. Like, and that's not a shot. That's not shade. That was always confused. I was like, how are you getting this level of viewership on a VOD? VODs typically don't do that well on YouTube because it's not a video. It's a big, fat live stream. Just last week, some of the biggest names in the space have taken some weird stances on botting. Oh, right, because that one guy basically said if you don't bot, it puts you at a disadvantage or whatever, and it's like, Jiminy Christmas. That's a weird view. Marathon will eventually go free to play after a while when sales have slowed, and then the microtransactions will definitely go up. Here's the thing. I don't think going free to play is a fix-all. I think you got to fix the core game first. I think you've got to fix the core game first. Drink every time he says the word vertical slice. I love when someone comes in and it's obvious they're brigading and they were sent here. We aren't even talking about that right now. And I don't even think I said that word more than once today, and I've been streaming for 2 hours and 44 minutes. What's it like to be a drone that takes instructions from strangers on the internet? Do you have no will of your own? A lot of pathetic simp energy out there, boys. What other genres do you think Bungie can excel at besides Extraction and Destiny type games? I don't know. They're too large to experiment. They're too large to experiment. I think at their size, they already tried this Illuminati. They had all these incubation projects that they spun up, and what did it lead to? It led to them going into the red. I think they're too big. Like they've got to basically build Destiny 3 to justify their existence. They're such a huge organization. They're such a huge company. There's nothing wrong with the game though. Huh? Players are afraid of buying the game since they hear so much negativity about it. They trust streamers, unfortunately. Listen, Roaring Man, we've had really good interactions, and I mean no disrespect. I am so tired of the preemptive excuses. Like, what are we going to do? Turn around in 2 weeks and that's going to be the excuse? That Marathon died because mean YouTubers dissuaded everybody from buying it? Homie, there were absolute hate brigades against AC Shadows. It was the second most commercially successful Assassin's Creed game behind AC Valhalla. And people brigaded every trailer they put out. I mean, downvoted them into oblivion. There were hate brigades against Yote. It outsold Call of Duty in North America. You cannot hate brigade a game into failure. It isn't possible. It isn't possible. If a game is good, it will work. It will function. It's just... I'm so Darwinistic when it comes to entertainment. Like the survival of the fittest. You can't kill something that is destined to be successful. You can't do it. Try as you might. People tried it with Hogwarts Legacy. People tried it with AC Shadows. People tried it with Ghosts of Yote. And it doesn't work. Those were all commercially successful games. People had to turn, tuck, tail, and run and be like, but Ubisoft's stock value, though. It was the second most commercially successful Assassin's Creed behind AC Valhalla. AC Valhalla is anomalous. It exploded in 2020 because of the pandemic. No AC game had ever done that well. That means AC Shadows did incredibly well, and people were against that game. Heavily against that game. The preemptive excuse making, no quarter here. There is no, oh yeah, Marathon didn't make it because everybody was hating on it and nobody would buy it. They made the game free, bro. You could do it. There was a server slam. You could play for free on every platform and it got no momentum. And why wouldn't we hold Bungie accountable for a lot of this? Why wouldn't we hold them accountable for a lot of this? They made this bed. It's like they made a messy bed that nobody wants to sleep in. And when people point out that they made a messy bed, people are like, stop doing that. Stop pointing out the messy bed. Nobody's going to sleep in it because you're pointing out the bed is messy. It's like, what? I'm sorry, what? They showcased an alpha last year that got massive negative feedback. People are like, this doesn't look that good. They let people stream it, and people are like, this doesn't look that good. To the point that they delayed it. Demand for the game was so bad last year, they delayed it. Then they got caught stealing art. Then they did the most pathetic stream I think I've ever seen a company stream, and had some poor guy lie and say it was a rogue employee and it was a decal sheet. I'm sure it was a rogue employee and just a decal sheet, and yet you settled with the artist that you stole from. That makes sense when you're a multi-million-dollar corporation, to settle with the artist over one decal sheet that could easily be removed from the game. That makes perfectly good sense. Then going into this year, they don't have the public's eye. They don't have momentum. Their videos are getting better reception, but they're getting diminished views. Nobody's paying attention to the dadgum game. And then the game doesn't do well in its own free server slam. And all these excuses are made. All this defense force is there to be like, well, Resident Evil 9 came out and progress wouldn't transfer over, so that's why people aren't playing. And then when they get less numbers in the free server slam during their launch, and they get diminished results every day after the launch of the game, we're going to be told that, well, nobody will buy it because YouTubers are being negative. Oh, my golly. All roads lead to this moment. Everything they've done leads to this moment. They did this. Not me, and not grifters who are calling it Concord 3. Bungie did this. They made the messy bed. It's not my fault for pointing it out. It's not anybody's fault for pointing it out. Garagage with a $10 super chat. I don't think the issue is with Bungie is their size, but rather their inefficiencies. If they had better management, they could have 3 full games based on their size. Well, I don't know if it's management. I think it's the engine. They're a really, really large company, and I think they've got an engine that's just not agile. We've heard this for years. We've heard this for years, that the engine's just not agile. They can't make quick changes and quick adjustments, which is really interesting in light of what Justin Truman said about you need velocity. Yeah, I mean, people's math here. This guy says Paul Tassi heard that Steam is the leading platform, so quick math. 40% Steam, 800,000, 35% PlayStation, 700,000, 25% Xbox, 500,000, total 2 million copies sold. Result, Marathon is a hit. People are just doing like napkin math here. Just making up stats. Does this look like a game that has sold 2 million copies to you? We were told that like Resident Evil sold like 5 million opening weekend. Look at its player numbers. We're supposed to believe that this game sold half that. Ravenous Gojira says, here's my personal thought on Marathon. I think Bungie and PlayStation are going to do accounting shenanigans with Marathon. Some or all of Marathon's budget will be written off as part of the budget for Destiny 3 due to the R&D that went into the updating the Tiger engine. No, Paul Tassi didn't say that. That guy was basing it off of Paul Tassi's information. The guy was just like speculating sales based off of nothing. Like, you have no idea. Like Resident Evil 9 was hailed as a roaring commercial success because it sold like 5 million opening weekend. Like, you see what I'm saying? Look at these numbers that it was pulling on Steam. Its opening weekend. It was in the 300,000s. You know what I'm saying? And this game allegedly sold like half that, and it can't even crack 100,000? Come on, man. There's no evidence of momentum here at all. Fuzzy says that's not how accounting works. The reviews are finally trickling in. I don't know what's going on here. They've got 9 reviews on PC. It's got a 70. They've got 13. But what in the world? Oh, they're all to be determined. Gee, money Christmas. People are really, really holding back. They're really trying to keep that tide from crashing on the shoreline. I don't think it's going to have good critical reception either. I just don't think so. Marathon did sell close to 1 million copies on Steam, though. Consoles, it's probably like 400 to 500,000. This is a fair number. If it sold 1 million copies on Steam, why are the numbers so low? Can you see how many got refunds? Metacritic is not a place to read reviews, though. For critical reception, yes, it is. That's quite literally where you would go to see what the critical reception is, not user scores. I have never and will never go to Metacritic for user scores because they're unverified purchases. I will definitely go to Metacritic and OpenCritic to see what the critical reception is of the gaming community, the gaming press. There are so many outlets out there that you're going to get law of large numbers. You'll get a decent result of what the critical reception is. Bungie needs to sell 7 million to break even before advertising. I've not done almost any commentary on what the budget was and how much they need to sell to break even because we just don't know. All I've ever spoken to with respect to the budget is Paul Tassi said the game was worked on for 5 to 6 years and a lot of Bungie worked on it and it had a big budget. And it was part of the valuation that they used when they sold themselves to PlayStation. It's difficult to think that PlayStation is pleased with the result. It just isn't looking good. Where's the 1 million figure? I just don't know. People that are on the side of the game and taking up for the game and hoping the game is successful, no shade. I feel like they just throw numbers out. And a lot of it just feels like wishful thinking. A lot of it just feels like, oh, please let this game not die. It just, I don't know. It just feels incredibly strange. It just feels incredibly strange. We don't know. I've been critical and I've been like, this looks bad. This is heading in the bad direction. And I won't even speak to the numbers. We don't know. We don't know enough to speak to it. K5Z says, if they continue to fall short, Sony's obligated to fire everyone and take control. I believe they've already taken control, brother. I do. I believe they've already taken control. I mean that. I think that the June update for Destiny 2 is the last one. And beyond that, I think they are putting the game out to pasture. I think they're putting the game out to pasture. I think Destiny 2 is going to be put out to pasture. And after they put that out to pasture, I think they're gonna put the bulk. Sorry, I was reading something. I think they're gonna put the bulk of the studio on Destiny 3. That's what I think is gonna happen. I think they're not gonna sunset. They're gonna basically set up Destiny 2 for end of life. It'll be kind of on cruise control, and I think they'll put the bulk of the studio on Destiny 3. And I think they're gonna put Marathon on like a life support team, like hospice care. I think they know it doesn't have a long life, so they're not going to have a ton of people working on it. A question was submitted hang on, that's the wrong question. Another question was submitted from Kino Man Sky. Can you check the charts and the numbers I pasted in the members chat on Discord? It's pretty crazy. What are you talking about? Where did you paste this? Oh, 4 games at launch. This is another excellent chart to look at. Thank you very much for this, Kino Man Sky. Okay, so what we're looking at here is Games at launch. Hang on, someone's sending me a friend request. Who is this? Ignore. Okay. So, what we're looking at here is the orange line is Arc Raiders, the green line is Destiny, the blue line is Helldivers 2, and the yellow line is Marathon. You're going to notice something. Every line goes up. At some level, it goes up after launch. Even a game like Destiny 2 that struggled, even a game like Destiny 2, it went up, right? Or at the very least, when it went back down and was in the same hemisphere as its launch numbers, okay? So these are video games at launch. You will notice that not only has Marathon, launched way down here, it just continues to go down. There's no movement in the right direction. This is a concerning trajectory. Destiny 2 didn't launch on Steam. I don't know where... that's true. It didn't launch on Steam. So ignore the green line. The orange and the blue line are what matters. That's Arc Raiders and Helldivers. Clear movement, clear gains. Marathon just continues to go down. What's your take on the silence on the player numbers? No thanks for the players, not even a thanks for daily users. It's just silence. I think that's damning. Well... You could look at that a couple of ways. I don't want to sniff out smoke everywhere. They could be like, don't go on to socials right now and say anything about the player numbers. You're going to get eaten alive. At 1,600 yesterday, there were 34,000 people playing. At 1,600 today, there's 34,000 people playing. So that's less than 1,600 for the rest of the week. The rest of the week was 36,000 at this time, 39,000 at this time. 55,000 at this time. So since launch, this hour of the day, they're getting the least amount that they have. I'm telling you, it's been lower every day. Not all video games take off at launch. It can take time to make momentum. Here's where I agree with you, Roaring Man. I like to cheer for games to have their 2.0 moment. I like for a game to pull itself up by its bootstraps and be like, let's go. Let's fix this. Let's get the public to jump back in. My concern is two things, right? Gaming Roundtable podcast. Let me get this set for you guys. I'm going to put a timer on screen so you guys can see how much time we have before the show is over. You got 45 minutes if you guys want to get this to 750 to get the stretch goal for Saturday. I think comparing Marathon to two games that blew devs' expectations out of the water is dumb. I would agree that it's dumb if we're talking quantity of players. We're talking about movement more than anything, Fuzzy. This image is not to show, oh, look how much higher the blue line is. It's to show you what it looks like when a game is headed in the right direction. Just ignore the blue line here. Don't even look at it. Just look at the green line. That's terrible. And that's fast. That's 1 week. Back to what I was saying to Roaring Man. My concern is, can they do it fast enough, and can they get enough people to come in? Because, again, you need quantity. You need movement. The games that have turned it around and had their 2.0 moments, it was palpable. It was measurable. It was like, oh, my gosh, look at how many people are jumping in. Don't look at the levels, look at the trends. Thank you, Q Patrick or Patrick. That's the point. It's the trajectory. Blowing out of the water means their momentum was guaranteed. Right, but what else? I guess I'm curious. What should we compare it to? It's a weak argument. Make a better one. What should we compare it to? It's a live service game. We're comparing it to live service games that have made it. That's what it takes. That's what it takes. It's such a perilous and difficult type of game to launch. We're going to the games, and everyone's like, oh, that's anomalous. That's anomalous. That's unusual. No, that's what it takes. It's like going to a strongman competition and being like, well, of course these guys can lift the really heavy things. Look how strong they are. Yeah, that's what it takes to lift the really heavy thing. What do you mean? This is what it takes to have a successful game in this environment. It's really difficult. It's it's one of the most perilous, most challenging, most difficult types of games to launch. It's really hard. So yes, when we look at the games that have made it, it seems otherworldly. Because if we look at all the games that haven't made it, do you want to know what they look like? They look like this. We got to include the launch date. This is what live service games that haven't made it, this is what they look like. You don't know what it takes? Sony and Bungie haven't said. I do know what it takes because I've looked at successful live service games for 10 years. I know what it takes to be successful. I don't know the exact number that Bungie needs to survive. That's true. But you need movement and momentum. Sea of Thieves is still kicking 13 years later with like no one playing. So you think you can definitively speak to the revenue and the success of Rare and Sea of Thieves with Everwild getting canceled? Like, you think Rare is in a good place? We think Sea of Thieves is in a good place? We don't know. We don't know what Sea of Thieves is generating with respect to revenue. We don't know Rare's operating cost. How many people are even at Rare right now? How many employees do they have? We don't even know what their operating budget is. Like, you're speaking as if that's Rare employee count. You've got one game in a sea of live service games. According to AI, Rare has somewhere between 200 and 260 employees. Like, what? They and also, we have to remember something. Sea of Thieves was very successful initially, like Helldivers was really successful initially, and you can kind of live off that revenue for a while, especially when you've got a lean budget and like 200 some odd employees. Same could be said for Bungie. No. Are you seeing the level of success? Are you seeing that? For Bungie, didn't Sea of Thieves have like crazy sales? What's Sea of Thieves like lifetime sales? I feel like Sea of Thieves like initially sold like really, really well, didn't it? Sea of Thieves has over 40 million lifetime players. They reportedly sold 1 million copies shortly after release. 5 million units were sold. They reached 10 million players in 2020. I feel like Sea of Thieves had very, very good and measurable sales for a small, lean company. That Bungie, I don't see any evidence that Bungie has that kind of sales going on right now. Yeah, and then Sea of Thieves went to PlayStation. It was like one of the top-selling games over there. And they're a small company with a lean budget. I don't think that can be said for 5 to 6 years of development at Bungie. Paul Tassi himself said it was a big budget. Listen, if you've got to run to Sea of Thieves, that's like your only example. We have virtually no other examples of live service games, especially from studios like Bungie. This right here is what a game looks like when it's not going to make it. All the games that have made it have had the opposite of this. Here's the other thing to consider. I mean, there's also been games like Splitgate 1 and X-Defiant that exploded to uproarious success. Like, they couldn't even keep the servers on with Splitgate, and then they lost players too quickly. And they had really, really strong numbers initially. Bungie doesn't even have that. That's the other challenge here. Is it's like I don't even know what to tell you. Like, they don't even have a strong start. Like X-Defiant and Splitgate 1, they had strong starts. They had inertia. They had people like, oh my gosh, this is so fun. And then eventually they just lost people. Like, that's the other challenge here, is they don't even have a strong start. Does the size of the actual team on Marathon matter here? It was something like 300, not the entire 800 dev force. The revenue goals are probably adjusted for that. Again, Paul Tassi's got sources at Bungie, and he said it was worked on for 5 to 6 years. A lot of Bungie worked on it. It had a big budget. This doesn't communicate success for something like that. It's a very sober video. That homie's got no reason to like be uber negative about Bungie. He doesn't. He's got contacts there. He covers them. He's not on some hate train. He's not some grifter that's like taking a cherry-picked shot at Marathon. He's like, I don't think Bungie and PlayStation are happy with these results. That's the biggest player pool on Steam. I feel like people are just in denial. I feel like in 2 weeks, I don't know what some of y'all are going to say in 2 weeks. If this trend continues and the numbers get lower and lower and lower, I don't know what you're going to say to me then. I'm surprised people are still like acting like that this could be okay. I'm surprised that we're still hearing that from folks. Don't get me started on X Defiant. So much potential wasted. Knowing how gamers look at accounting statements, Tassie doesn't know crap. He doesn't need to know crap. He repeated what he was told. He repeated what he was told. Like, what? I don't understand. All he said was, it was worked on for 5 to 6 years by a lot of Bungie, and it had a big budget. It was part of the valuation when they sold themselves to PlayStation. That is what he has been told from Bungie. If you think that is sitting well with either company, where the biggest player pool, the PC player pool, that's where the most of their players are, is on a downward trend, I don't know. I don't know what to say. He knows someone in accounting. I don't know. I don't know. I think what he's saying is so reasonable. It's just so reasonable. 5 to 6 years of a good chunk of Bungie working on this, that's not cheap. They're not. Their production costs are high. They drove the company into the red, and all they did was spin up incubation projects. And as soon as Destiny slowed down, they were in the red. Why? Because their production costs, their operational costs are high, Fuzzy. Go read Pete Parsons' blog. The breadcrumbs aren't hard to piece together here, dude. Like, but he doesn't know anybody in accounting. Prove it's expensive? Prove it isn't. A company that publicly came out and said, spinning up incubation projects and revenue slowing down in Destiny 2 put the company into the red. They had to lay off 200-something employees. That proves their operational costs are expensive, Fuzzy. I feel like you're being willfully ignorant and you're being persnickety here. Like, it's not absurd to claim that the operational staff of roughly 300 people at Bungie for 5 to 6 years is expensive. We're not saying anything crazy. We're not. Nobody's saying anything crazy. They were operating in the red and had to lay off like 200-something people. Why? Because the revenue for Destiny slowed down. That's all it took. That's all it took, and the company was in the red. And you're like, but we don't know that it was expensive to make Marathon. What? Parsons himself said that the incubation projects is what led to them being operating in the red. It's not, it's... We've been talking for years about how budgets of games have been getting more and more expensive. You're saying from a position of someone said? Tassie was told the game was worked on for 5 to 6 years, had a big budget, lots of Bungie worked on it, and it was part of the valuation to PlayStation. If you think somebody from Bungie made that up or he's making that up, I don't care to debate it with you. I don't. I think that's a reasonable thing to say. We're not saying it cost $85 billion. We're using very generic statements that I think are reasonable and accepting. 300 people making $100,000 a year for 6 years. That's expensive alone. Never mind whatever they spent on the hardware to pay off the girl. Yeah, they paid off a settlement to Anti-Real, and they're paying for dedicated servers. Sony didn't pay billions for Bungie for Marathon to do 35,000 players a day. Yeah, I feel like you're being real harsh and stern on this, Fuzzy, and I don't feel like anybody is saying anything outlandish. Like, I feel like we're being very fair here. I'm not giving a specific number. I'm just like, I have a very hard time believing that this game was cheap to bring to market. They were operating in the red because they spun up incubation projects and they were making less money on Destiny. That's all it took to put the company into the red. Not only that, I feel we've been talking about Bungie working on Marathon for at least 5 years. Didn't Microsoft themselves say they didn't want Bungie because they burned through money? I feel like I heard that too. Do you remember what Hiroki Totoki said, Fuzzy? Do you remember what Hiroki Totoki said? They wanted some accountability. One of the first things that started happening after they got purchased is they're like getting rid of knitting classes and stuff. Like, they wanted accountability with spending and budgets over there. That's like one of the first things Hiroki Totoki said from Sony. They keep releasing insanely expensive CGI trailers. Yes, they brought in like a movie director to make a cinematic trailer. They got some of the biggest names in voice acting in gaming to come and be a part of the project. To think that this is not an expensive project, I think it's more absurd to think that it was cheap than to think that it's expensive. Good Lord. They have spent so much money on this project. They got a movie director to make a trailer. And the production on these cinematics they keep pushing out and the music and everything, none of that's cheap. If you're paying 300 people $100K a year for 6 years, they weren't. But wait, how do you know they weren't paying people that much money for 6 years? That's really not how accounting works. I'm not an accounting expert. It's my general estimation and understanding that if you assign 300 people to work on a project for 5-something years, their salary is a part of the operational budget of the project. If you don't do it that way and your company says, no, they're part of the overall operational cost of the company, and, you know, we put that in this line item because, you know, the money we're making from Destiny is attributed to some of their work in the past or something, okay, fine. They were operating in the red because they spun up incubation projects and the revenue from Destiny slowed down. They talked about how they had to bring people over. 300 was the max. Forget the 300 number, Fuzzy. Bungie is an expensive company to run. Right? It's an expensive company to run. So to think that Marathon was like real low cost to bring to market, I think that's an absurd position to take. We have no evidence that this was some cheap project. That's not Bungie. Bungie doesn't do cheap. They're big. They're hubristic. They spend money. They have knitting classes. One of the first things the CEO of Sony says after they bought him is, we need some accountability over there. Microsoft's like, yeah, they burn through cash. They're big spenders. What did this guy say? He says, these armchair arguments are vapid. I wrote a post calling out Bungie for overexpending and overspending a year before Parsons admitted, and I got dunked on. Told you so. Yeah, I don't think it's been a secret that they're big spenders and they're an expensive company to run. A $5 super chat from Tronagi says, in a strange way, I respect the Crimson Desert devs for aggressively trying to pull the wool over the casuals' eyes. They couldn't fool us pro gamers. I mean, I don't respect anybody who's trying to mislead the public. I think it's freaking wrong. I think it's wrong. AB21 says, Paul Tassi has reported more than just the budget. His sources have said the game needs to be a top 5 seller, and he has said they need a minimum 5 million copies sold. Yeah, these are other things that Tassi has said that he has heard from Bungie. So you can say he doesn't know. We can argue from silence and be like, he doesn't know. He doesn't know the total. He didn't speak to anybody in accounting. Okay. The man says it needs to be top 5 NPD, 5 million copies, wasn't cheap. In his estimates, they're probably not happy about where the game is. And that's based on everything he's heard from the company itself. All right. What's this, Paul? As seen in the game credits posted on Moby Games, Marathon has 2,752 people credited in professional roles. As comparison, these are the vanilla versions of Destiny 1 and 2 plus the other PS5 Studios games. So, Spider-Man 2, really up there. Forbidden West, really up there. Death Stranding 2, really up there. More people worked on this than God of War Ragnarok. Destiny 2 at launch was like 2,100, 2,200. Again, regardless of how much they worked on it, like you could say that it was like all hands on deck, and in the the 11th hour they pulled a bunch of people in to help get this thing out the door because they were in a bit of a crisis because it was clearly a minimum viable product last year. It doesn't matter. That still increases the budget of the game. They delayed the game. That hurts your budget almost immediately. So let's just imagine that when they delayed the game, that number of employees that had touched the game and had worked on the game went way up because they're like, all hands on deck. We need to get this thing ready to go out the door. What do you think that does to your budget? It makes it go up. It immediately becomes a more expensive project because now you're not hitting your date. All your marketing had to be reworked. They had to actively remove all the stolen assets from the game. Marathon easily cost over $200 million. Prove it? He doesn't have to prove it. I mean, it's clearly a speculative remark. I don't get the stern tone. A $5 super chat from Trinagi. With Marathon's art style, I wish it had a single-player co-op campaign. Same. You can see here, Bungie did not have 2,700 people working on it. Yeah, I don't know what this is. I don't know where this report came from. Posted out by Moby Games. I'm not sure where they're getting the number. I'm genuinely curious what would happen to the player numbers if they announced, hey, we realize a huge portion of our audience really likes PvE, and so we've decided to make this game, have a PvE option. You will still be motivated to go and engage in PvP encounters and go into the, the blended environments. I don't know. I just continue to be curious about that. Could they get a bunch of people to suddenly come in because they've just got such a long-standing... Like, think about over the years, all the people that have purchased... all the people that have purchased it. All the people that have purchased, Destiny, that might buy this game if it was PvE. Like, I don't know. That would just be immediate influx of cash that they might need. Who cares at this point? Who cares about if the game lasts 6 months? Like, you could get a ton. I mean, you could get a ton of Destiny players that have played Destiny at some point in their life over the course of the last 12 years to potentially buy the game for $40. The post on Spotify will resume starting today. We have had some other very, very big projects that we've been working on and other things that have just taken time away from that. Spotify, unfortunately, the audio listenership just took a huge dive because we switched platforms multiple times. And so it's not a top priority, unfortunately, because there's just two of us working on the team here. And if something's going to slip, that's going to be the thing that has to slip. The YouTube channel can never slow down. Everything else is potentially getting a back seat sometimes. We have to triage according to business need. Speaking of projects, what's going on with the podcast that you did? I need gentlemen to get back from the GDC and some movements to take place and some other things, and potentially it'll get published. We're in agreement that it needs to be published. They were going to try and publish it in a particular way, and that's not going to work. So we're looking at other options. So it's good. If and when it happens, it'll be good. even if the budget was low and they really wanted to make a hardcore niche game, even if we accept all that is true, that is still bonkers for a AAA studios to make and dilute the brand. If you make Halo and then Destiny, consumer expectation is that your game will have broad appeal, remembering most players are not dialed in. Pretty sure GDC delayed it. What GDC delayed what, Rope? I'd play PvE, the podcast. I mean, yes and no. I've got somebody trying to help me with something, and it's really awesome that they're trying to help me with it, and they want that to happen before the podcast gets published. So hopefully we have good updates on either front soon. They advertise it as from the makers of Halo and Destiny. They wanted broad appeal. Yeah, I think what Hilly is saying is just incredibly important to remember. From an optics perspective, you know, a company the size of Bungie made a game that they're okay with having just such paltry results. Like, I just don't think so. That doesn't smack as Bungie. Bungie doesn't operate that way. Bungie doesn't do small. Bungie doesn't do, like, mid. They go big. They go seismic. They go tectonic. Like, I don't know. Paul just posting BS, nothing new. What did Paul say? Oh, about the credits. When those forced resets hit, those numbers are going to free fall. That's another good point, Neo Reaper. All right, you guys have 20 minutes. You have 20 minutes. We are going to go and stream with Ginger. I need to go get the video to set up redirect. We're going to be doing the podcast with Ginger. Keep in mind, we are going to be doing a stream tomorrow, okay? We are going to be doing a stream tomorrow. You guys have unlocked that. If you would like it to be a double header and Madam and I will play Slay the Spire 2 together, Dragon King has really helped get you guys there. He threw down a gauntlet and did a 50 bomb. Top Reply did a 20 bomb. You guys have gone crazy. You're about 100 members away. All right? So if everybody goes crazy right now, does a single gifted or a renewal or a prime or any of that, we could get really, really close to that. All right? I don't think anybody else is throwing down gauntlets. I do owe a 5 bomb to YouTube. I just realized that. You guys, if you get your individual platform to over 100, I owe you a 5 bomb. So Twitch, you would need about 50. I don't know if any of the big boys are over there that can do a 50, but I'm going to give 5 right now to YouTube. Okay. And then let me get the link for the live stream with Ginger. Wait. Yeah, that's scheduled for today. All of a sudden, a video started playing, and I realized it was a trailer. Let's go in here. Save. And then let me refresh. Okay. And not yet. Okay. Here's what we'll do. I'm going to take a quick break, and then we can do a final big 15-minute push. Go crazy on the like button, too, if you guys haven't done so already. Try to get us to 400 likes. There's still a lot of you guys here. Show some appreciation to the people that have gone crazy and gifted today. If you haven't hit subscribe yet either, do that. I'm a Safe for Work broadcaster. I do lively, interactive talk shows like this Monday through Friday, and because I'm Safe for Work, you can put me on in the background of your day. I get people, a lot of people through their work day, all right? So I will be right back. Okay. I'm back. Whew. Yo, what's good, Feed? I see you in the chat over there. Slay the Spire 2 multiplayer is very fun. It's only over LAN, though, right? It's not local. We would probably just play together and, like, argue and debate about what to do and how to do it. Does that make sense? Like, that's probably what we would do. I personally hope that they find ways to make more people want to get the game. I truly love it. I honestly don't know what I would do if it got shut down for real. I mean, you'd be bummed and, probably just have to go play, something else. But, ultimately, live service games are a risk for the studio, but it's also a risk for the player. LAN is local. I'm sorry. Online. I didn't mean to say LAN. My brain's a little fried. Slay the Spire 2 is Slay the Spire 2 Steam. Isn't it only online? Are you doing another stream match with the round table? No. Yeah, just online co-op only. I'm not going to buy the game twice and set up 2 computers. Madam and I'll just, we'll just play and argue. It's funny when we do that. If we play a single player game at the same time, like taking turns and debating about what we should do. So, Wired Rope says it's been a week. Yeah. So, yes, that is what we will do tomorrow. If we can hit stretch goal, it'll be a double header, and we're now going to be at 619. Thank you for the renewal, David Hudat. Thank you so much. What's your point? It's been a week. The launch numbers were disappointing, and the numbers have trended downward all week. I think he's broken earth. I think that's what Wired Rope is saying, is that we're talking about like, oh, I hope they can turn it around and hope get people to play it. I hope it doesn't die, and it's only been a week. I think Rope is basically in agreement with what you're saying, Earth. It's like, it doesn't look good. Starfield composer has no doubt Bethesda's RPG will eventually be legendary, but people were just not ready for Todd Howard's vision of space. It's us. We didn't understand. It's our fault. I had no idea. I'd like to take this time to apologize for the entirety of the gaming world not understanding Starfield. It was this entire time it's been our fault. Sorry about that. Sorry, boss. Can we get some burnt peanuts? Sorry, boss. Sorry, boss. Sorry, boss. Sorry, we didn't understand the game, boss. The frick? Are we the baddies? We're the baddies. It's us. It's been us the whole time. We're the reason that Redfall and Concord failed. I mean, we're the reason Highguard failed. It's our fault that Starfield had terrible consumer reception and bad review scores from the users. It's our fault. Sorry, balls. I really thought Starfield was an amazing game. That's right. You better apologize to me, says Lone Wolf. Yeah, we need to get ass across and start saying sorry, boss, because he says boss. If you're going to go in to fight a boss. Nobody says boss the way that Astacross does. Yeah, he says it's the best. Peanuts says it good too with his sorry boss. Oh, it's so funny. The way he hangs his head. He looks at the camera and hangs his head. He is so funny, man. I am so glad that there's a streamer in the space that I can celebrate and enjoy, since the guy that I used to, celebrate and enjoy, I don't think that highly of anymore, That's the new thing, dude. Blame the audience, blame the players. That's the way you do it. The best way to be successful in this environment is to blame the consumer, always. Have you seen The Faithful Sheriff? Yes, I have. I don't even know what to say. Like, I'm particularly annoyed by that. Like, as a Christian man, I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing, man? Yeah. It's like a unique version of secondhand embarrassment rope. You know what I mean? It's like a unique version. I don't think you've seen half of it. I mean, I've seen enough. You know what I mean? I just blame Lono. They're messing with that man. I don't think he realizes what's going on. I stopped by his stream rope. It's just a disaster. It's just a disaster. He had like 200 to 300 viewers. His chat was just abysmal. It's just, they're all making fun of him and spewing hate. And it's just like, because, I mean, I guess at that point, right, you're just getting engagement, so you just let it ride. Copilot AI assistant is coming to Xbox consoles later this year. Microsoft calls it exciting and says that they will continue to bring Copilot to more services that players are playing. Ugh. Why? Whose stream? Oh, I'm not trying to get into drama with other streamers. I'm not. There's a guy called the Faithful Sheriff. He's using a very similar Peanut, VTuber avatar, but he's got like a sheriff's hat on and a mustache, and he does like a not great Southern accent. As a purveyor of accents, like, I'm not the best, but I'm not awful, okay? I can do passable accents from like a couple of regions of the world. His Southern accents, it's just bad. And he's called the Faithful Sheriff because he's like a Christian and he's like wanting to witness to people. And I'm just like, what? So obviously people are like, you're just copying, you're just trying to ride off of the burnt peanut. Now there's plenty of people that are like streaming as like, eggplant and zucchini and potatoes and stuff. They're obviously trying to like follow in that wake. Whatever, do your best. I consistently thought when when Dr. Disrespect was at his peak and his height, I thought one of the best things for the space would have been other characters to crop up and interact with him, kind of like wrestling, right? You have like different rivalries, characters, battles, arguments. You could have big events where they face off and stuff. So I certainly think there is still an opportunity for that, for like other kind of VTubers to rise and kind of be like Burnt Peanut. They gonna have to have their own vibe, their own shtick, their own comedy thing. Like, he is just so naturally funny. He just is. Like, he was streaming with Nick Merckx and Hutch, and they did affirmations to like pump the team up, and they're not even close to him in the realm of comedy. Like, I like Nick Merckx and I like Hutch. I think they're funny, nice guys. I think they're good entertainers, but they don't hold a candle. Like, right off top, like, Peanut's just funnier. He's a good entertainer. Well, this guy's doing this, and I'm just like, this faithful sheriff guy, and it just looks bad. It just looks really cringy, and it's like, as somebody who is a Christian, I don't put that out into my content, and I don't make that a part of my content. But boy, oh boy, do I get really tired of Christians in these spaces doing things that I believe are very counterproductive. I see a lot of people that don't understand what being wise as a serpent and as gentle as a dove means. I feel like they reverse it, right? They're as gentle as a serpent and as wise as a sheep. It's like they reverse the whole thing. Like, I just see a lot of that, and then I see a lot of this, and I'm just like, what the heck are we doing? I don't know. I don't think the Almighty is too pleased with the behavior of people that claim his name. I'll just say that. Like, the one who could make shadows tremble is not like, oh, wow, thanks for doing that. Peanut's also much better at games than he shows. Oh, I just saw a clip of him recently throwing down an Apex. The dude can play. That dude can play. I actually think he's better at Apex than Ark. Arc Raiders, he puts on a hilarious and entertaining show. That homie can throw down. Like, he's a good player. Yeah, Baba Furk. I'm not going to try to get into declarations of who is and who isn't. I'm just like, there's a point in time where someone was like, what's the passage where the demons are like, we know who Jesus is and we know who Paul is. We don't know who you are. Yeah, that's a fearful thing. I think people should be more fearful and more reverent. But that's all. I don't want to get into this too deep. Panthoria says, do you believe the PSSR 2 is the saving grace of the Pro in regards to Crimson Desert? Thank you so much for getting us to 620. We're 5 away from me owing you guys a member. No, because PSSR 2 gives extra headroom to the GPU mostly with upscaling and smoothing things over. It's not going to fix CPU bottlenecks. And the issues that they're having are CPU bottlenecks. CPU intensive spots. Thank you so much, QML Beats. What do you genuinely want from Bungie? Unbanned from Destiny, public apology, I don't know. Also, content that makes Marathon worth playing for a larger audience so that they don't squander all the potential that it has. You know, just that little short list. I'm a PK. I'm disappointed. I get frustrated. You know what? I how much time do we have? 5 minutes? I would take unapologetic heathens over some of the nonsense that's in these spaces. I just would. I'd rather that. I'd rather know when someone stands. Lono missed my renewal. Sorry. 54 months from Biatch. VIP. Lono, did you cancel your Crimson Desert pre-order? No, I'm going to stream it so y'all can see it. I'm going to stream it so y'all can see it. We got the rapture before GTA 6. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. We're all standing there at the pearly gates and we're like, really? Really? You know, God's like, hey man, you guys saw the platypus. You know I got a sense of humor, right? You know what I mean? It's pretty funny. You know? Rapture, buddy, right before GTA 6 comes out. People are like, I don't believe it. Give me my wings. Oh, man. Oh, man. Should we be worried for GTA 6 and CPU bottlenecks? It depends on how they build it, SDO. One of the reasons I'm not as worried about GTA 6 is it seems like Rockstar has been going back into their old games and figuring out how to get more frames per second. That's possibly them trying to figure out what they can do with GTA 6. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we just don't know. The assumption is that, oh yeah, GTA 6 will be CPU intensive. It'll struggle with frame rate. And it's like, I mean, yeah, maybe. That certainly is possible, but maybe they had some breakthroughs. They're going back to their old games and updating them to 60 FPS. All right, boys, in 2.5 minutes, we're going to the gaming roundtable with Ginger. We're sitting at 621 on the week. You guys can hit stretch on a Saturday because sometimes the big boys like Pork Pie come in on a Saturday and help you with it. But you can scramble to make me owe you a couple more members here. Twitch, you're sitting at 49. We're 621. So make sure you're checking your renewals and your primes. Make sure and do that before the weekends. If it had a PvE mode, it would be it would do better. I like PvP, but the constant stress level and not knowing. Right, even the guys that like PvP, AJG, would like to take their, let their hair down maybe. You know what I'm saying? Like, even the guys that were in PvP and trials, I don't mind letting their hair down and, running some strikes and running some public events. You know what I'm saying? Like, gee, money, it's hard out here. I tell you what, I'm gonna go in the next minute. I'm gonna go a minute early so that Ginger's not waiting on me to start the show. Add one, sir. Thank you there, Sam Runkle. You guys have about 60 seconds to scramble here, and then I'm gonna spam a link and redirect you. You guys on purple, I'm gonna spam a link. to bring you to YouTube, all right? I'm going to spam a link to bring you to YouTube. Did you hear the AI Copilot is coming to Xbox consoles later this year? Oh, yeah. That's thrilling. Isn't that so exciting? Isn't that what you always wanted on your Xbox? Not games. We don't need games. We don't need really strong first-party exclusives to show off the power of the Series X. What we need is Copilot. All right, guys, I'm going to spam a link in chat. I want you guys to bring the support and bring the vibes over there to Ginger's show. And make sure when you get over there, hit that like button. Help spin the show up, okay? I'll see you guys over there.